Chapter 293. Tang Zheng was very moved by Yi Dingdang's painstaking efforts, and said sincerely, "Thank you." Fairy Search download a novel for free. Yi Dingdang revealed a smile and said, "Let's go to the Ye family now. We must tell them about this matter." Tang Zheng hesitated for a moment, then agreed. Although he was very reluctant to see Yi Xuanji, since this matter involved the Ye family, he naturally had to make a trip. The two of them took a car to the Ye family's courtyard house. As soon as they entered, they bumped into a handsome young man walking towards them. Yi Dingdang stopped and greeted, "Big brother." Tang Zheng could not help but size up this person. He had sword-like eyebrows, starry eyes, red lips, and white teeth. He was truly a romantic and elegant young master. This person was the eldest son of the Ye family's third generation, Yi Ku, one of the 4 young masters of the capital. Yi Ku stopped and looked at the two of them. She revealed a smile and said, "Dingdang, who is this?" Although Yi Ku and Yi Meiyu were siblings, there was a world of difference between the two of them. Yi Ku was knowledgeable and had a good reputation, which was completely different from Chu Xiaofeng's hedonistic personality. During the time that Yi Dingdang came to the capital, Yi Ku also took care of her. Yi Dingdang heard and introduced, "This is my friend Tang Zheng." "Oh, you are Tang Zheng." TSK, Yi Ku looked at Tang Zheng thoughtfully, "You have to treat Dingdang well in the future, otherwise I, as your big brother, will not let you go." Tang Zheng was stunned for a moment, and suddenly realized that the other party must have known that Tang Zheng and Yi Dingdang were faking it. He could not help but smile in distress. Yi Dingdang's eyes flashed with shyness, but she did not explain, and said, "Big brother, I'll go in first, I'll look for you when I have time." "Okay, you can go. Take advantage of the National Day and have fun," Yi Ku said with a smile. The two of them first went to Yi Tianlei's room. Yi Tianlei and his wife were there. They looked at Tang Zheng in surprise and said, "Little Tang Zheng, you're here. Take a seat." Yi Dingdang looked at her parents resentfully and said, "I'm your daughter. Why do I feel that you're closer to Tang Zheng than you are to me?" Feng Xinyang laughed out loud. "I've wanted to have a son like you for a long time. I'm tired of looking at you all day." Everyone knew that Feng Xinyang was joking, so they didn't take it seriously. Yi Dingdang curled her lips and pretended to be wronged. Biased. "Look, I'm still injured." "You still have the nerve to say that. If it weren't for the little handsome brother protecting you, I don't know what would have happened. You're getting bolder and bolder. You actually went to the terrorists' lair without saying a word." Feng Xinyang poked her daughter's forehead and complained. Everyone went. "If I didn't go, wouldn't I be laughed at?" Yi Dingdang explained. Yi Tianlei said, "It's good to go and train. The children of the Ye family have always grown up in a greenhouse. If they don't experience the wind and rain, what kind of words would that be?" Feng Xinyang said, "Fortunately, there is Tang Zheng. If it weren't for him, we would have already dragged you back. Little handsome brother, I heard that your operation this time wasn't going well, and your credit was stolen by others?" Tang Zheng smiled faintly, "This little bit of credit doesn't matter." Yi Dingdang said unjustly, "His credit was stolen by Takashi, and there is also this woman. If it wasn't for her making things difficult for him, how could Tang Zheng not even be able to receive the award?" Hearing Wu, Yi Tianlei, and Feng Xinyang both became serious at the same time. They had long heard of this matter, and Wu was actually the instructor of the student soldiers. When they heard the news, they were shocked, and thought that the martial sect had discovered the matter of the ordinary balance. Later on, it was proven that it was all a false alarm. Wu had really lost his memories, and Tang Zheng and Yi Dingdang were lucky enough to escape this calamity. Look at how open-minded little Tang is, a little bit of profit is nothing. However, little Tang, I really don't understand why you don't maintain a good relationship with the military. Yi Tianlei's fiery eyes of truth saw through Tang Zheng's true goal with a single glance. Tang Zheng was avoiding the military and deliberately not fighting for the credit. Tang Zheng smiled faintly, "I am a person who likes freedom, I just want to experience the life of the military camp. If I want to go deep into it and truly become a member, I can't stand those restrictions. Feng Xinyang's eyes lit up, he was not stingy with his praise, and said, "Good job, in this world, it is good to live freely. If you put so many shackles on yourself, wouldn't you be tired to death? Look, I'm not as happy as I am in the ordinary balance. It's all because of this environment." Yi Tianlei sighed and said, "In this world, there are always many things that don't go your way. How can everything go your way? Since you don't like the life of the military, then live according to your own way in the future." "Dad, Feng Xinyang, we encountered something today," Yi Dingdang said seriously. Yi Tianlei and Feng Xinyang looked at their daughter in surprise. It was rare to see such a serious expression on her face, so they hurriedly asked, "What happened?" "Today, we had a conflict with Chu Xiaofeng. Tang Zheng injured the other party and then killed an expert from their family called Raging Inferno." Chu Xiaofeng. Yi Tianlei and Feng Xinyang were not people like Yi Dingdang who did not pay attention to the outside world. They knew a lot about the complicated connections of the capital. "How did you get into a conflict with him?" Just as the two of them finished asking this question, they suddenly paused and exclaimed as if they had just woken up from a dream, "What did you say just now? You actually killed Raging Inferno?" Yi Tianlei and Feng Xinyang, who had experienced countless big scenes, were also shocked by this news. It was even more shocking than when they clashed with Chu Xiaofeng. Raging Inferno is a first-grade pre-celestial stage martial artist. How did you kill him? Yi Tianlei was also only at the first grade of the pre-celestial stage. He found it hard to believe that an expert of the same cultivation level as him had died at the hands of these two juniors. Looking at her parents' shocked expressions, Yi Dingdang could also feel their shock. Furthermore, after confirming Raging Inferno's cultivation from her parents, she became even more shocked. She quickly suppressed her emotions and corrected her, "I didn't kill him, it was Tang Zheng who killed him. Raging Inferno died at his hands alone." Immediately, Yi Tianlei and Feng Xinyang's expressions became even more shocked. They looked at Tang Zheng as if they had seen a ghost, as if they wanted to cut him open and study how he did it. Yi Dingdang was very satisfied with this effect. She turned her head and looked at Tang Zheng, her big eyes filled with little stars of worship. Tang Zheng was the creator of miracles. It seemed that anything impossible could happen to him. Tang Zheng laughed bitterly, "Uncle Yi, Aunt Feng, don't look at me like that, it makes me look like a monster. Actually, all of this was just a fluke." Feng Xinyang smacked her lips and said, "Little handsome brother, don't tell me you still don't admit that you're a monster. You've already done such an impossible thing. Tell me, what else can't you do?" This kind of praise made Tang Zheng not know whether to laugh or cry, and he was speechless. Yi Dingdang seemed to think that this kind of shock was not enough, and immediately added fuel to the fire. "Let me tell you, Raging Inferno did not last long under Tang Zheng's hands, and then turned into a ball of fire, and died." "What? He didn't last long, and he even turned into a ball of fire?" Even if Yi Tianlei and Feng Xinyang were to open their brains, they would not be able to imagine this scene. Wasn't Tang Zheng only at the fourth stage of the postnatal stage? Why did it sound like he was at the fourth stage of the postnatal stage? Moreover, how did a person turn into fire? Tang Zheng blushed with shame, and hurriedly said, "Don't listen to Dingdang's nonsense, I'm not that powerful, I only defeated him by chance. At that time, there was a barrel of oil in the stairwell, I splashed it on Raging Inferno's body, and then turned him into a flaming man." "Oil? Why don't I smell gasoline?" Yi Dingdang expressed her suspicion. This girl was really observant. It was so chaotic back then, but she still remembered this. Tang Zheng obviously would not back down, and continued, "You said that if I didn't use oil, how could I turn him into a flaming man? Could it be that I can spit fire?" Squeak squeak. Xiao Bai cried out in Tang Zheng's embrace and raised his claws, as if he wanted to say that he could breathe fire. Tang Zheng immediately pressed it down and looked at the three of them calmly. Yi Tianlei and Feng Xinyang were not present, but they believed this explanation. Otherwise, they would not be able to explain this matter. Only Yi Dingdang, the person involved, was extremely suspicious, but she could not find any other reasonable explanation, so she could only believe this reason for the time being. Yi Tianlei looked at Tang Jing seriously and said, "Little Tang, you are really lucky this time. That raging inferno is an expert who has been famous for a long time, and even if I were to fight against him, I might not have the confidence to defeat him. I'm afraid that only your Aunt Feng can easily defeat him, but he died in your hands. I dare say that your name will spread throughout the capital." "What? Spread throughout the capital?" Tang Zheng was shocked. "You don't know what a pre-celestial expert means. Although there are many experts in the great families, pre-celestial experts are still as rare as phoenix feathers and unicorn horns. You casually killed a pre-celestial expert, it's hard for you not to be famous." Feng Xinyang joked, "Sigh, how many people want to be famous? I'm afraid that only your method can truly be called earth-shattering, soaring into the sky in one go." Tang Jing didn't know whether to laugh or cry. He had never thought of becoming famous, he had only instinctively resisted. The raging inferno wanted to kill him, and if he did not kill the raging inferno, then he would have no way to live. Therefore, he fought back in order to survive. Yi Dingdang's eyes became brighter and brighter as he clapped his hands and shouted, "Good, if you want to be famous, you have to do it as soon as possible. Moreover, killing a pre-celestial expert is such an awe-inspiring thing." Feng Xinyang agreed, "There are many crouching tigers and hidden dragons in the capital. Every year, there are many dragons that want to amaze the capital with a single brilliant feat. They want to attract the attention of all parties and strive for glory, splendor, and wealth. You are luckier than them and have accomplished what many of them can only dream of." Yi Tianlei nodded his head and said solemnly, "However, becoming famous at a young age is a good thing, but there is also a bad side. After you become famous, you will definitely attract the attention of all parties, and in the future, you will not be able to live a peaceful life. As long as you are not recruited into a large power, there will be countless people looking for you, wanting to take you under their wing." Tang Zheng rubbed his nose and laughed self-deprecatingly, "Looks like I'm in high demand." "What's wrong with being in high demand? This is called being valuable. Other people can't even ask for it even if they want it." Yi Dingdang praised, "What, aren't you happy to see you become famous? What's there to be happy about? I actually like to keep a low profile." "Tisk, what's the use of keeping a low profile? Moreover, you're so dazzling, it's impossible to keep a low profile even if you want to," Yi Dingdang said with unconcealable excitement. Chapter 294. What Tang Jing didn't know was that when he was talking to Yi Tianlei and his wife, his name had spread to the ears of some people in the capital at a terrifying speed. Moreover, it was a fierce name. For a young man to kill a Xiantian lord who had been famous for a long time, just how shocking was that? It had been many years since such an explosive thing had happened in the capital. But who was Tang Jing? Why had they never heard of this name before? Could it be that he was a ferocious dragon that crossed the river? The answer was quickly revealed. This person was not some dragon that crossed the river, but a local snake. It turned out that he was the Ye family's future son-in-law, Yi Dingdang's fiancé. A few months ago, Yi Xuanji failed to break through to the master stage and almost went berserk. This was something that everyone knew. Many people were secretly watching the Ye family. As long as Yi Xuanji died, the Ye family's reputation would definitely plummet. They would probably fall from the throne of the four great families in the capital. Many new families were watching this matter closely and secretly worked for a long time. As long as Yi Xuanji died, they would work together to pull the Ye family down from their pedestal. But what made everyone surprised was that Yi Xuanji actually survived in the end, and not long after, he actually broke through to the master stage. This made the Ye family, which was originally in a precarious situation, regain its vitality. A master stage was enough to support such a large family, making other people not dare to act rashly. Many people were confused by this huge change, but without a doubt, Yi Xuanji must have obtained a great opportunity. But what this opportunity was, no one could figure it out. At the same time, some people also noticed that the Ye family originally wanted to marry the Song family. The two family heads had secretly agreed on this matter, but later on, the Ye family actually went back on their word. The girl, Yi Dingdang, actually had a fiancé. Many people were curious about who this fiancé was, to actually be able to make Yi Xuanji not hesitate to have a conflict with the Song family. But no matter how she investigated, this fiancé was very mysterious. But today, this mysterious fiancé finally made a grand appearance. Moreover, this way of entering the stage was truly unexpected, making one want to slap the table in praise. Killing a Xiantian master was an unimaginable matter. One must know that Xiantian masters were as rare as phoenix feathers and unicorn horns in every family. Moreover, they were the most powerful masters in the family. However, they were easily killed by a young man. Just how terrifying was this young man? No one dared to imagine. At this point, many people came to a realization. No wonder Yi Xuanji broke off the engagement with the Song family at all costs. No wonder Song Yu, one of the 4 young masters of Beijing, had been snatched by someone else. With such a strong competitor, even the 4 young masters of Beijing could do nothing. Some busybodies even suggested that this son-in-law of the Ye family who came out of nowhere was enough to compare to the so-called 4 young masters of Beijing. Even the high and mighty Yan Luyun in everyone's hearts was probably not as powerful as Tang Zheng. Immediately, it was as if a pot had exploded. Many people wanted to see this Ye family's son-in-law. They wanted to see if he really had 3 heads and 6 arms. How could he be so fierce? Of course, although the matter of Tang Zheng killing Raging Inferno was well known, and there were even witnesses, no one went to the police, and it was even more impossible for the police to get involved in this matter. This was a matter between the big families, so the police could cool off to the side. Tang Zheng did not know that his name had instantly overshadowed the 4 young masters of Beijing. At this moment, he was very vexed. He had always wanted to keep a low profile, and then silently increase his strength to deal with the possible pursuit of the martial sect in the future. But this time, his plan was completely disrupted, and he was exposed to the spotlight. Yi Tianlei saw through his worry and advised, "Little Tang, it's impossible for you to keep a low profile. People with ability will eventually shine brightly. Furthermore, since Wu has lost his memories, then the martial sect will not come looking for trouble with you for the time being." Tang Zheng sighed. It seemed that this was the only way. Dong dong. There was a knock on the door, and a voice called out from outside, "Second master, the old man has invited you over." "All right, we'll go now." Yi Tianlei stood up. "Little Tang, come with us. Since we have sat down on this matter, and Ding Dang is also involved, this matter should be handled by the Ye family. Don't worry, if the Chu family wants to take revenge, I will definitely not stand by and watch. Yes, little handsome brother, with us supporting you, you don't have to be afraid. Feng Xinyang guaranteed." Tang Zheng glanced at Yi Dingdang, and said, "Uncle Yi, and Feng, actually, this matter has already brought the Ye family in. Don't blame Dingdang, she did it all to save me." Yi Tianlei and his wife were shocked. As they walked, they asked about the details of the incident. When they heard Yi Dingdang announce that Tang Zheng was her fiancé, Yi Tianlei was shocked. He obviously understood what this meant. This meant that the Ye family had to protect Tang Zheng. If he jumped out at this time and said that Tang Zheng was not Yi Dingdang's fiancé, others would think that the Ye family was a coward. Therefore, Yi Dingdang's move of acting first and reporting later sealed all the Ye family's escape routes. However, in this way, Tang Zheng was tied to the Ye family. As for who took advantage of it, Yi Tianlei was not clear. After all, Tang Zheng had a master at the master stage behind him. Feng Xinyang's eyes lit up, and she looked at her daughter with joy. This girl was really enlightened. She even knew this move. Tomorrow, wouldn't the whole capital know that Tang Zheng was the Ye family's son-in-law? Hee hee, little handsome brother, if you don't want to be the heartless Chin Shimmy, then you have to be together with our family's Ding Dang. The more Feng Xinyang looked at Yi Ding Dang, the more she liked her. This girl finally had the demeanor of her mother back then. In the future, she would have to nurture her well, deepen her foundation, and firmly hold the little handsome brother in her hands. When the few of them walked into Yi Xuanji's room, they found that Yi Xuanji was sitting on a chair with his eyes closed. When he heard the few of them enter, he suddenly opened his eyes, and his bright gaze immediately fell on Tang Zheng. The last time they met, Yi Xuanji had already decided to acquiesce to the matter between Tang Zheng and Yi Dingdang. However, he did not expect that in just a month, this brat would cause such a huge commotion again. Killing a Xiantian realm cultivator, this move was too fierce, causing Yi Xuanji to almost think that he had misheard. After confirming it again and again, he could not help but have mixed feelings. Back then, when he was at Tang Zheng's age, and had the support and care of his family, he did not do such an earth-shattering feat like Tang Zheng. However, when he thought about how Tang Zheng did not even put him, the head of the Ye family, in his eyes when he was in the ordinary balance, Yi Xuanji felt that all of this was actually not that surprising. Because, in the end, this brat was this kind of person, all the influential people in front of him were like chickens and pottery dogs, and would not make him have much respect at all. Of course, what shocked him even more was that Yi Dingdang publicly announced Tang Zheng's identity as the Ye family's son-in-law. Just this sentence alone was enough to entangle the Ye family, tying the Ye family and Tang Zheng together. Yi Xuanji glanced at his granddaughter. Ever since Yi Dingdang returned to the capital, this pair of grandfather and grandson had truly come into contact with each other and understood each other. Yi Xuanji gradually realized that Yi Dingdang's unyielding character was much more pleasing to the eye than Yi Meiyu's. Although Yi Meiyu had pretended to be a filial granddaughter in front of Yi Xuanji, how could the things that happened outside escape Yi Xuanji's eyes and ears? Therefore, although Yi Xuanji did not change his opinion of Yi Dingdang on the surface, he was paying more and more attention to this granddaughter of his. Even if Yi Dingdang took the initiative to pull the Ye family into the vortex, he did not immediately fly into a rage. "Father, you called us," Yi Tianlei said. Yi Xuanji pointed to the chairs at the side, and after the few of them sat down, he said in a deep voice, "I just heard that Tang Zheng had a conflict with that brat from the Chu family, and killed Raging Inferno?" Yi Tianlei's heart sank, so the old man had called them over for this matter. He could not see through the old man's thoughts, but he was prepared to argue for himself and protect Tang Zheng, so he quickly said, "Yes." "Dingdang, you told others that Tang Zheng is your fiancé?" Yi Dingdang raised her neck and said without hesitation, "That's right, didn't I tell you when we were at ordinary balance?" Yi Xuanji snorted coldly, and said, "How could your tricks from back then escape my eyes? This time, you used the same trick and brought the Ye family into trouble, did you know that?" Yi Dingdang curled her lips, and said, "In any case, the Ye family is not afraid of trouble." Yi Tianlei was infuriated by Yi Dingdang's stubborn temper. Yi Tianlei immediately gave his daughter a look, and said, "Father, this matter is not entirely the fault of Dingdang. After all, Dingdang was also a victim at that time. If she did not reveal her identity, then this matter would be very difficult to resolve, and Dingdang might also be in danger." Feng Xinyang rolled her eyes and said, "Old master, I feel that the little handsome brother is pretty good. Moreover, this matter is the truth, and in the future, others will know about it. Instead of hiding it, it is better to say it openly like this." How could Yi Xuanji not understand Feng Xinyang's thoughts? She had long wanted to matchmake Tang Zheng and Yi Dingdang, so she snorted heavily and said, "In short, this matter has made the Ye family very passive." Tang Zheng frowned, listening to Yi Xuanji's question, and said unhappily, "I can explain this matter to these people, and if it has nothing to do with the Ye family, then the Ye family will not suffer any losses." Yi Xuanji looked at him and said, "Do you think this matter will be as simple as you say? Since Dingdang announced your relationship to others, then this matter must be treated as true. From now on, you are really Dingdang's fiancé." "What?" Everyone was shocked, and Tang Zheng's jaw almost fell to the ground. He knew that Yi Xuanji had always been against Tang Zheng and Yi Dingdang, but he never thought that he would agree to this matter so easily. The key point was that Tang Zheng had never thought of it this way. Yi Tianlei and Feng Xinyang looked at each other, both of their eyebrows were filled with joy. The old man actually agreed, and Feng Xinyang was even more delighted. As long as the old man passed through, then this matter was set in stone. She looked at Tang Zheng more and more like a mother-in-law looking at her son-in-law, and the more she looked at him, the more satisfied she was. Yi Dingdang was shocked at first, then a look of joy gradually appeared in the depths of her eyes. She turned to look at Tang Zheng, only to discover that he had a dull look on his face. She could not help but curl her lips, and thought, you've taken such a huge advantage of me, yet you're still not happy. Could it be that I'm really not as good as Fang Shishir? Tang Zheng recovered from his shock and quickly said, absolutely not. Everyone was startled and shocked. Was this brat crazy? He actually said that he couldn't. Many young elites wanted to step into the Ye family. Even if it was Yi Meiyu, who had a bad reputation, there were still many people pursuing her. This brat actually rejected her good intentions. If Tian Chanzi was here, he would definitely want to punch him in the head. Such a good opportunity, and you still want to reject it? Do you want to die? You need an endless supply of pure yin energy. Yi Dingdang has a pure yin body, so wouldn't you be able to take her down? It was not that Tang Zheng was not afraid of death, but he already had a girlfriend. If he agreed to the Ye family, what would Fang Shishir do? Fang Shishir had only left for a short while, and he was already looking for a new lover. Wasn't this too much of a beast? Chapter 295. Tang Zheng said matter-of-factly, I already have a girlfriend. Yi Dingdang bit her lips and said, could it be that I'm not as good as Fang Shishir? Which part of me can't compare to her? This. You're really good. Tang Zheng said hesitantly. Yi Dingdang's conditions were indeed very good. Not only was she beautiful, her family background was illustrious, and she even had good martial arts skills. She was the princess that many people dreamed of. Then I'm good, why don't you agree? Yi Dingdang persistently asked. Tang Zheng was startled for a moment, looking at the trace of sadness in Yi Dingdang's eyes. His heart skipped a beat. This girl seemed to be different, this was not her style. Feng Xinyang looked at her daughter thoughtfully. As a woman, how could she not see through her daughter's thoughts? Unknowingly, Yi Dingdang had actually been moved by Tang Zheng. It seemed that what was originally a fake show had become a real show. Tang Zheng was speechless. Why didn't he agree? He didn't know either, but he had to admit that sometimes, he would have improper thoughts about Yi Dingdang, and the two of them had even shared a bed before. However, he still liked Fang Shishir in his heart. After all, the two of them had gone through many hardships together, experienced many things, and had a deep relationship with each other. Yi Xuanji frowned as he looked at Tang Zheng, and said, girls are just friends, we can just split them up. This matter is settled, wait for me to choose a good day, and I will hold an engagement party for you. Engagement party? Tang Zheng's head trembled, this was really forcing a duck onto a perch. In the past, he had only heard of forcefully snatching women, but now he was forcefully snatching men. Tang Zheng still wanted to argue, but was interrupted by someone. A person rushed in and shouted, grandfather, not good, Yi Dingdang is in big trouble. His voice suddenly stopped, because when the other party saw the people in the room, Yi Meiyu was startled, and her expression became extremely complicated. Making such a big fuss, where are your manners? What trouble did Dingdang cause? Yi Xuanji asked in a deep voice. Yi Meiyu glanced at Yi Tianlei and his wife, thinking that they must be here to beg grandfather for forgiveness. Luckily I came back quickly, otherwise they would have fooled me. The relationship that Yi Meiyu had built with great difficulty with Chu Xiaofeng was destroyed, how could she let it go? After thinking about it, she decided to take revenge. The best way to take revenge on Yi Dingdang was to attack Yi Tianlei's position in the Ye family, and in order to do this, he had to prick Ye's nerves. As a result, Yi Meiyu impatiently rushed back to report to Yi Xuanji about Yi Dingdang. Although everyone else was present, she was not afraid at all. Instead, she said righteously, "Grandfather, Dingdang and Tang Zheng just killed the people from the Chu family and injured Chu Xiaofeng. Furthermore, they even involved the Ye family in this matter. His heart was punishable. This accusation was too harsh." Yi Tianlei's face darkened. He was very clear that this niece of his was hostile towards his family, but he never thought that her intentions would be so sinister. Yi Tianlei wanted to flare up, but was stopped by Feng Xinyang. The old man had already made his decision on this matter. No matter how eloquent Yi Meiyu was, it was useless. On the contrary, the more powerful she was, the deeper the hole she dug for herself. Yi Dingdang was immersed in her complicated emotions and was not in the mood to pay attention to Yi Meiyu's accusations. Yi Meiyu looked at Yi Dingdang's appearance and became even more arrogant. She was secretly delighted, thinking that she must have been scolded by her grandfather just now, so she had to add fuel to the fire. However, Yi Meiyu did not notice that Yi Xuanji's gaze towards her was getting colder and colder. Seeing that she was about to continue chattering, he suddenly shouted, "Shut up, Meiyu, you have disappointed me too much." As a member of the Ye family, instead of thinking about how to solve the problem, you pushed Dingdang out, and even kept on framing her. "Tell me, are you still a member of the Ye family?" "Ah. Yi Meiyu was shocked and dumbstruck. Why did her grandfather scold her and not blame Yi Dingdang? Wasn't this caused by Yi Dingdang? Scram back to your room. You are not allowed to take half a step out of the house for the next few days. Otherwise, I will break your legs," Yi Xuanji said angrily. Yi Meiyu's face was pale white. The old man had never scolded her like this before. Seeing him fly into a rage, she was puzzled and unreconciled. She glared at Yi Dingdang hatefully, then retreated out of the room. "The family is unfortunate." Yi Xuanji coldly snorted, then looked deeply at Tang Zheng and said, "Tomorrow is old man Yan's 80th birthday. Your family will represent the Ye family to congratulate him. Tang Zheng will also go." Yi Tianlei's heart skipped a beat. Bringing Tang Zheng along meant that Tang Zheng would appear as the son-in-law of the Ye family. The Ye family would also receive a lot of attention because of this matter. These big families were not afraid of being noticed. On the contrary, the more attention they received in this circle, the more powerful they were. In fact, in the past few months, the Ye family had indeed been the focus of attention from all sides, and had earned a lot of attention. This time, because of the appearance of the mysterious son-in-law, Tang Zheng, they would definitely receive even more attention. "Yes, father." Yi Tianlei agreed, and then brought the shocked Tang Zheng and his daughter out of the room. "Uncle Yi, how can we do this?" After the few of them had walked far away, Tang Zheng finally could not help but ask. Yi Tianlei laughed, "Little Tang, look, the old man has already decided. You should also give him some face. This matter is already tied together with the Ye family. Go tomorrow, then you can study hard at Yanqing University. If not, you will be disturbed all day. You will also be very annoyed." Yi Tianlei was speaking the truth. If Tang Zheng continued to be mysterious and let others guess, even if he hid in the university, he would not be able to live a peaceful life. And if he appeared tomorrow, he could satisfy the curiosity of all forces, and let him truly be tied together with the Ye family. Those who wanted to recruit him would give up, because he was already a member of the Ye family. It was already impossible for others to touch him. Tang Zheng was silent. He had to admit that Yi Tianlei was right. Moreover, these words were said, if he were to publicly deny it, not only would it be disadvantageous to him, but it would also embarrass the Ye family. He was not a selfish person, although he did not like Yi Tianlei. After all, Yi Tianlei was a member of the Ye family. If the Ye family's reputation was damaged, then he, Yi Tianlei, would also suffer a loss. He could not bear it. In addition, the most important point was Yi Dingdang. If he stood up and clarified that he had nothing to do with Yi Dingdang, most people would not believe it, but there would also be many people who would gloat and watch a good show. For example, if a girl claimed that another person was her fiancé, but the next day the man clarified that he had nothing to do with her, how hurtful would that be? What would others think of her in the future? Tang Zhen glanced at Yi Dingdang, who did not say a word, and thought to himself, it seems that this matter can only be delayed, wait for a bit more time, wait for people to gradually forget, then naturally no one will pay attention to him and Yi Dingdang. Seeing that Tang Zheng had tacitly agreed to tomorrow's arrangement, Yi Xuanji breathed a sigh of relief. Feng Xinyang beamed, and said, Dingdang, bring Tang Zheng to the guest room, he will stay at our house tonight, and tomorrow we will go together to celebrate the birthday of the Yen family's old man. Yi Dingdang nodded, and brought Tang Zheng to the guest room. Looking at the backs of the two people, Yi Tianlei said worriedly, do you think this matter will work? Feng Xinyang raised her eyebrows, and said confidently, of course it will work. What kind of person is our family's girl? How could she lose to the Fang family's girl? Moreover, the Fang family's girl is abroad, the pavilion closest to the water gets the moon first, little handsome brother, this moon will definitely be plucked in the hands of Dingdang. But, my Dingdang is really in love. Yi Tianlei sighed, a grown girl cannot be kept at home, this day has finally come. Feng Xinyang chuckled and said, can't bear to part with your daughter. This day will come sooner or later, what are you sighing for? Moreover, it's good that your daughter is in love, it's not like you don't know our family's girl's character, if you don't like her, even if you put a knife to her neck, she won't do it, but if she really likes you, then she will definitely chase you, this is similar to me, daring to love and daring to hate, as expected of my, Feng Xinyang's daughter. Feng Xinyang indeed understood her daughter very well. After Yi Dingdang and Tang Zheng came to the guest room, she stared straight at Tang Zheng, and said resolutely, Tang Zheng, let me tell you, no matter what you think in your heart, I will tell you now what I think. From this moment on, I solemnly announce to you that I want to chase you. What, you want to chase me? Tang Zheng was forced into a corner by Yi Dingdang, and looked at her in shock. Yes, I don't know when it started, but I've already fallen in love with you. If I like something, I will definitely not let go. I will snatch it away. Yi Dingdang gritted her teeth and said. Tang Zheng didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Am I that charming? Didn't you hate me in the past? That was in the past. The past doesn't count. Besides, I still have a bet with you. I feel that my cultivation can't surpass yours, so I have no choice but to marry you in this life. Otherwise, I will never marry. Looking at her aggressive gaze, Tang Zheng felt a lot of pressure. Even when he was facing the raging inferno, he did not feel this much pressure. He could not help but feel a headache coming on, not knowing what to do. I don't need you to answer me now. In short, I will definitely catch up to you in these 4 years of university. If you take a step back, I will take 2 steps forward. I don't believe that I, Yi Dingdang, won't be able to catch up to the person I like. Yi Dingdang's face was filled with determination. In fact, if she did not go through this incident, she would have chosen a gradual and silent method. However, Tang Zheng had rejected her in front of her entire family, completely remembering her competitive nature. She was originally a competitive person. Since you, Tang Zheng, rejected me, then I will do the opposite. I will pursue you with great fanfare. Let's see what you can do. Tang Zheng did not expect such a result, but looking at the determination in her eyes, his heart could not help but soften. It was hard for him to imagine how much courage it would take for a girl to confess so righteously. Dingdang, you also know that I have a girlfriend. Let me make it clear first, I will not give up on Shishir. Tang Zheng felt that he had to make his attitude clear first. Yi Dingdang bit her lips, and her rosy lips gradually turned white. She took a deep breath and said, who knows what will happen in the future? I only know one thing, and that is that I will definitely make you accept me. Sleep well, tomorrow we will go to the birthday banquet together. Perform well, Yi Dingdang's man must have an indomitable aura. Tomorrow, I will let the whole world see how different my Yi Dingdang's man is. With that, she left without looking back. Xiao Bai crawled out of Tang Zheng's embrace with both hands covering his eyes, looking very shy. Seeing that Yi Dingdang had left, he released his claws and squeaked, as if he was giggling. Tang Zheng did not know whether to laugh or cry. He knocked on his head and said, "What are you laughing at? Can't you see that your master is in a terrible fix? The ancients say that it is difficult to erase a beauty's grace, and they are not lying to me." Xiao Bai rolled his eyes. "You took advantage of me and you still want to pretend to be obedient." Chapter 296. The next day, Tang Zheng wore a tailored suit and stood in front of the Ye family. Feng Xinyang specially asked someone to tailor the suit for him. Feng Xinyang looked him up and down and clicked her tongue in praise. "Not bad, you are indeed becoming more and more handsome. When you stand together with our family's Dingdang, you are a perfect match." After Yi Dingdang declared her pursuit to Tang Zheng, she became natural and unrestrained, without the slightest bit of the affectation of a little girl. Hearing her mother's praise, she nodded in agreement. "Not bad indeed, much more handsome than usual." Beauty is in the eye of the beholder, and of course, Panan is also in the eye of the beholder. Now, Yi Dingdang was looking at Tang Zheng more and more pleasing to the eye. Tang Zheng felt a little happy in his heart. Even though he did not sleep well last night because of Yi Dingdang's meddling, he was still full of energy with the divine technique protecting his body. Let's go, let's go," Yi Tianlei said. The few of them sat in a long luxury car with a special driver, and then went straight to the destination of today's banquet, Longxiang Mountain. This was a small mountain in the suburbs of Beijing. It was not very big and was not open to the public. It was the private place of the Yan family. The autumn air was cool, the dust was dyed, and the mountain was covered in red. The luxury car drove on the wide mountain road, giving people a feeling of strolling children. Beautiful. At the end of the mountain road was a big iron gate. The iron gate was carved with exquisite patterns, like a work of art. On both sides of the iron gate were two huge stone lions, tall and mighty, showing the imposing manner of this family. Tang Zheng could not help but sigh. This was the real feeling of a family, making people feel awe. On both sides of the gate, there were 2 rows of people welcoming the guests. One row of men, with an imposing appearance, and the other row of women, with a beautiful appearance. If Yi Tianlei had not introduced them as servants, Tang Zheng would have thought that they were the young master and daughter of the Yan family. Tang Zheng was secretly shocked. The background of this kind of big family was really incomparable. There were so many people who became rich overnight, but they were only the nouveau riche. Compared to this kind of big family with 100 years of history, it was like the difference between a firefly and the sun. Compared to the Yan family, the Ye family seemed to be dwarfed. Yi Tianlei seemed to have seen through Tang Zheng's thoughts and explained, the Yan family is the most powerful of the 4 big families in Beijing. They have 2 masters. 2 masters? Tang Zheng was shocked. Yes, the other families only have 1 master. The Ye family also only has 1 master after the old man broke through. But the Yan family is different. Not only is the old man of the Yan family behind the scenes a master, even the current head of the family, Yan Qishan, has also broken through to the master realm. So powerful, then how old is this Yan Qishan? Tang Zheng curiously asked. Next year he will be 50. Yi Tianlei said as he stretched out 5 fingers. He is only 40 years old and he has already reached the master realm. Tang Zheng was shocked. The master realm was not like the Xiantian masters who could easily break through as long as they accumulated enough strength. Instead, it required luck. Yi Xuanji had accumulated strength for dozens of years and barely touched the door of the master realm. But in the end, because he did not have any luck, he fell short of success. If not for Tang Zheng using the life-continuing pill to save him, he would have already become a soul. Yi Tianlei helplessly smiled bitterly and said, yes, it is unimaginable, but Yan Qishan did it. Like father, like son. His son, Yan Luyun, is the head of the 4 young masters of Beijing. He is only 20 years old, but he has already touched the door of the Xiantian realm. Xiantian realm. Tang Zhang's head moved and he could not help but think of Wu. She was from the martial organization and was only 20 years old, but she had already reached the Xiantian realm. So compared to her, Yan Luyun was slightly inferior. What he did not know was that Yan Luyun was not like Wu, who did not have anything to do every day. The only thing he did was to cultivate. Yan Luyun was in such a large family. He had many businesses to manage and many social events. Since he was young, he did not have much time to cultivate. But he had already reached the Xiantian realm. This was enough to show how high his martial arts talent was. Today you will definitely see Yan Luyun. You are all young people, so you should interact with him more. Yi Tianlei warned. Yes, Uncle Yi. I will act according to the circumstances. Tang Zhen replied in a deep voice. Don't be so rigid. Yan Luyun only has 2 eyes and 1 mouth. There is nothing strange about it. Yi Dingdang curled her lips and said disapprovingly. Feng Xinyang advised, Dingdang, in the past you were outstanding in the ordinary balance. But in the capital, there are many crouching tigers and hidden dragons. Your ability is not that great. If you do not work harder in the future, you will be left behind even further. I have the Jade Women's Heart Sutra, so I am not worried. I believe that I will definitely be able to catch up to him. Yi Dingdang waved her fist and said confidently. Feng Xinyang praised, you are truly worthy of being my, Feng Xinyang's, daughter. You should have this kind of drive. Moreover, I believe that Tang Zheng will definitely surpass Yan Luyun in the future. Yi Dingdang did not forget to add. Yi Tianlei and Feng Xinyang looked at Tang Zheng and imagined his terrifying cultivation speed. It was indeed very possible for him to surpass Yan Luyun. The Ye family's car did not stop at the entrance. Instead, it drove into the large villa and finally stopped in front of an ancient wooden building. This wooden building was grand and imposing. It had already been there for many years. There were many people standing in front of the building. Tang Zheng immediately saw 2 people among them. These 2 people had similar eyebrows. They both had sword-like eyebrows and starry eyes. They looked very talented. However, one was a mature middle-aged man and the other was a 20-year-old youth. Those 2 are Yan Qishan and Yan Luyun. Tang Zheng asked curiously. It is this pair of father and son. Yi Tianlei lightly said. Then the driver ran out of the car and opened the door. The 4 of them got out of the car. The beautiful scenery in front of them entered their eyes. This villa was a combination of the mountain and the manor. It was definitely the work of a master architect. However, this grand and imposing villa was not as attractive as this pair of father and son in front of them. Yan Qishan laughed loudly. He quickly walked towards Yi Tianlei and said, Tianlei, it has been many years since we last met. The 2 of them shook hands, appearing very intimate. Yi Tianlei also laughed. Yes, Qishan, it has been almost 20 years since we last met. Time passes so quickly. However, back then, I believed that you would definitely return. Because, in the end, you still belong to the capital. Yan Qishan's voice became deep as he spoke from the bottom of his heart. Yi Tianlei was a bit emotional. He said, thank you. Back then, these 2 were very close. However, after Yi Tianlei was banished to ordinary balance by the Ye family, their relationship gradually weakened. Now that they met with old friends, they naturally felt very close. In the blink of an eye, so many years have passed. We are all old. Now it is the world of the young. This is my family's kid. When you left back then, he was just starting to walk. Yan Qishan patted Yan Luyun's shoulder and introduced him. Yi Tianlei looked at Yan Luyun with a smile. He said, you really are a talent. The little mischievous boy from back then has already grown up. Uncle Yi, in the future, I will have to ask you to give your nephew a few pointers. Yan Luyun said humbly. Yi Tianlei shook his head and said, Luyun, I do not dare to give you pointers. In these years, your reputation has become more and more famous. Everyone has seen it. Even I, as your uncle, am ashamed of my inferiority. Uncle Yi is too kind. Your nephew still has many areas that require Uncle Ye's pointers. This must be Ding Dang. She is already so old. I heard that she is now studying at Yenqing University. Yan Qishan's gaze landed on Yi Ding Dang. Feng Xinyang, Ding Dang has inherited your beauty. In a few years, she will definitely become the most beautiful girl in the capital. Feng Xinyang smiled faintly. Qishan, you flatter me. This girl is very mischievous. She always causes trouble for me. It is a good thing that young people are energetic. If they were as dull as us old fellows, then life would be truly boring. Yan Qishan said. Yan Luyun also looked at Yi Ding Dang. He did not hide the admiration in his eyes. However, his eyes were filled with pure admiration and praise. There were no messy desires. Ding Dang is also studying at Yenqing University. Then I can be considered your senior. I graduated from Yenqing University 5 years ago. Yan Luyun said with a smile. Yi Ding Dang obediently opened her eyes wide. She said in surprise, senior must have dominated Yenqing University back then. Ha, I was young and impetuous. I was just fooling around. This is. In the end, Yan Qishan placed his attention on Tang Zheng. If it was not for the fact that he was dressed differently, others would have thought that he was a follower of the Ye family. The main reason was that his aura was too ordinary. He did not have the valiant and domineering aura. He was so ordinary that it was easy for people to overlook his existence. This was done on purpose by Tang Zheng. Today, there were many experts gathered. It was better to keep a low profile. Moreover, others could not see through his cultivation. He really was like an ordinary person. This is Ding Dang's fiancé, Tang Zheng. Yi Tianlei introduced. Since this time, Tang Zheng appeared as Yi Ding Dang's fiancé. Of course he would not hide anything. Instead, he introduced him generously. Oh, it's you. The father and son of the Yan family were both a little surprised. They couldn't help but size up Tang Zheng carefully. Yan Qishan was extremely shocked, and thought to himself, I actually can't see through his cultivation, he must have some secret technique to intentionally hide it. He killed the Chu family's raging inferno yesterday, so he is at least a pre-celestial stage expert. Tisk, interesting, the Ye family actually found such a powerful son-in-law. Yan Liuyun's shock was no less than his father's. After he heard about the death of the raging inferno yesterday, he was both surprised and suspicious. He was only at the 9th stage of the post-celestial stage, and could already be considered the most powerful person in the younger generation of the various large families in the capital. However, an even more monstrous person suddenly appeared, causing him to be unable to help but look at him in a different light. Tianlei, you've really found a good son-in-law. In just a day, his name has already spread throughout the capital. Who knows how many people are asking about him? Yan Qishan sighed. Yi Tianlei said in a deep voice, this time, we really had no choice. If it wasn't for that brat from the Yan family forcing us, little Tang wouldn't have killed Raging Inferno. Ha, so what if he's killed? What's there to be surprised about? Yan Qishan said without a care. This is called the Yangtze River, the waves behind drive the waves before, and the waves in front die on the beach. Your son-in-law's waves are really fierce. Lu Yun, look at Tang Zheng, he's not surprised by anything. This is the true demeanor. Learn more from him in the future. Yan Luyun was not angry at his father's words in the slightest. Instead, he looked convinced and nodded, father is right, Tang Zheng, in the future, we will all be in the capital, please give us more advice. Tang Zheng had been observing this father and son pair the entire time. From their words and actions, he could tell that they were really well educated and could not find a single flaw in them. After hearing Yan Liuyun's humble words, he said without batting an eyelid, "The two of you are too kind, I was just lucky by chance, I am far from being able to compare to young Master Yan. Calling me young Master Yan is too distant. I'm a few years older than you. If you don't mind, calling me Big Brother Yan is what I like to hear the most." Yan Luyun said straightforwardly. That kind of cordiality made people feel as if they were bathed in a spring breeze. "Right, the two of you should get closer," Yan Qishan warned. Chapter 297. After exchanging greetings for a while, Tang Zheng addressed him as Big Brother Yan. One had to know that this form of address was enough to make many people envious. Because this meant that Tang Zheng had entered the eyes of the Yan family. For someone who had just arrived in the capital, this was very difficult to come by. Yan Luyun accompanied the few people into the wooden building. There were already many guests inside. Not only were there business people here, but there were also people from the political world. Tang Zheng saw a few big shots who often appeared on TV. Obviously, the level of this circle was beyond the imagination of ordinary people. However, Tang Zheng's state of mind was very calm. There was not the slightest ripple. No matter how much money or power the other party had, to him, there was not much difference between them and a passerby. Yan Luyun had been observing Tang Zheng. He saw that his expression did not change. It was as if he was a person who was used to dealing with this kind of situation. However, he knew that Tang Zheng's previous identity was actually very simple. He did not have the experience to deal with this kind of situation. This was enough to show that he was not simple. This brother Tang is really not ordinary. Yan Luyun sighed with emotion. There is such a powerful person in the capital, and he is the son-in-law of the Ye family. The days ahead will definitely be more and more exciting. When the others saw Yan Luyun personally accompanying the few people into the building, they were very surprised. Many people who did not know Yi Tianlei guessed who they were. They actually had the Yan family's young master personally accompany them. After all, Yi Tianlei had been away from the capital for too many years. Although he had appeared in a few occasions in the past few months, it did not mean that everyone knew him. Everyone whispered. After a while, they figured out Yi Tianlei's identity. Suddenly, they realized that the Ye family had arrived. But when they thought of the rumors from back then, everyone's thoughts started to turn. Although it seemed that Yi Tianlei and Yan Qishan were having a good chat and were very close friends when they were young, the Yan and Yi families were not as friendly and harmonious as they seemed on the surface. The Yan family was powerful, and their development in the past few years was even more rapid. On the other hand, the Ye family was gradually going downhill. If Yi Xuanji did not break through to the master level, then the Yan family would definitely not let go of the Ye family, this fat piece of meat. Because if this piece of meat was given to another family, that family's strength would increase greatly, and it would threaten the Yan family's ruling position. This was also the reason why Yi Xuanji did not hesitate to ally with the Song family through marriage. It was to resist the possible actions of the Yan family. However, this time, Yi Xuanji had mysteriously reached the master level, so the Yan family's strategy to deal with the Ye family had changed. This time, it was the Yan family's grandfather's birthday. The Yan family even personally sent an invitation to the Ye family. Yi Xuanji understood the reason very well. The Yan family wanted to use this birthday to ease the conflict between them and the Ye family. Yi Xuanji did not object, and even sent Yi Tianlei to personally attend. This already explained his intentions. The two families were still in a competitive relationship, but because of Yi Xuanji's breakthrough, it was no longer a life and death situation, but a delicate balance. Those who were observant naturally figured out the intention of this, and could not help but think in their hearts. If the conflict between the Ye family and the Yan family was eased, then their relationship with the Song family would definitely become tense. And where would the Chu family, who had always been on good terms with the Yan family, go? In fact, the Chu family's strength was on par with the Ye family. In the past, it was because of their close relationship with the Yan family that no one could shake the Chu family's position. This time, the Ye family's performance was so eye-catching, and the Ye family's son-in-law even killed a Xiantian master of the Chu family. How would the Ye family and the Chu family end? Everyone looked like they were waiting to watch a good show, especially many of their gazes landed on Tang Zheng. Because Tang Zheng's identity was already obvious, everyone was sizing up this future son-in-law of the Ye family. Where did this kid come from? How could he be so ridiculously powerful? Yi Tianlei did not stay idle either. He brought the Ye family and introduced them to a few people who were on good terms with the Ye family. Tang Zheng undoubtedly became the focus of attention. Seeing that he handled things with ease and was neither servile nor overbearing, everyone secretly nodded. The son-in-law chosen by the Ye family was really a dragon among men. It was really strange that they had never heard of him before. After a while, a few more people came in through the door. Everyone hurriedly looked over and greeted them. Yan Luyun also quickly stepped forward to welcome them. Uncle Song, please come in. The people who came in were from the Song family of the four great families. Two of them happened to be acquaintances of Tang Zheng, Song Yu and Qin Lao. Yi Tianlei also saw the people of the Song family. He walked over to them unhurriedly. Although there was a rift between the Song family and the Yi family because of the marriage, they were still relatively close on the surface. Han Jun. Yi Tianlei called out loudly. The leader of the Song family, Song Yu's father, Song Han Jun, replied to Yi Tianlei, Tianlei, you came earlier than me. This sentence had a deep meaning. It seemed to be saying that the Ye family was preparing to get closer to the Yan family. Yi Tianlei heard the implied meaning, but did not directly respond. Instead, he smiled and said, the air in the city is not good. The Longxiang mountain is high and the air is fresh, so I came out early to breathe in the fresh air. Song Hanjun smiled meaningfully. His gaze fell on Tang Zheng and said, presumably, this is the son-in-law you chose. Humph, he is really a talent. This sentence was obviously sarcastic. No matter how Tang Zheng dressed up, in terms of appearance, he was indeed not Song Yu's opponent. The Ye family chose Tang Zheng and gave up Song Yu. How could Song Hanjun not be angry about this? Perhaps he was one of the people present who hated Tang Zheng the most. However, as an elder, if he were to target a younger generation, then he would appear to be too inferior. Hanjun has discerning eyes. This is indeed Dingdang's fiancé. Yi Tianlei acted as if he did not hear the ridicule and said naturally and generously. Feng Xinyang's eyebrows jumped, but he did not act out. Tang Zheng was indeed the calmest. He would not be affected by the other's words. Suddenly, a soft little hand appeared in his hand. Yi Dingdang actually held his hand, as if announcing their relationship to Song Yu. Song Yu looked at the two's tightly clasped hands and said meaningfully, Tang Zheng, when I first saw you at Ordinary Balance's residence, I knew you were not an ordinary person. You really gave me a big surprise. When he was at Ordinary Balance, Song Yu could be sure that Yi Dingdang and Tang Zheng's so-called relationship was just to deal with him. There was actually not much of a real relationship between the two. However, it was different now. Since the Ye family had announced it, then even if there was no relationship between the two, there would still be a relationship. Therefore, he, Song Yu, was really defeated by Tang Zheng. In fact, from the beginning, Song Yu did not have strong feelings for Yi Dingdang. He knew that his marriage would definitely be arranged by his family since he was young, so he did not reject the marriage with Yi Dingdang. After he met Yi Dingdang, unknowingly, he actually began to admire and like her. After he left Ordinary Balance, this feeling was abnormally strong. However, Yi Xuanji later cancelled the engagement, which made him draw water with a bamboo basket. This shattered his beautiful dream. In fact, if it was not for the Ye family announcing Tang Zheng's identity, Song Yu would not have much hostility towards Tang Zheng. After all, Song Yu could be sure that the relationship between the two was just a joke when he was at Ordinary Balance. However, this time it was real, which meant that he was defeated by Tang Zheng. This made him, the young master of the Song family, shocked and angry. In the past few days, he had already heard a lot of rumors. After all, Song Yu was defeated by an unknown Tang Zheng. This kind of thing was too worth gossiping about. Some of the playboys who did not have a good relationship with Song Yu were even fanning the flames to ridicule him, making Song Yu hold back a burst of anger in his heart. He could not help but regret. When he was at ordinary balance, Qin Lao had proposed to deal with Tang Zheng, but he had rejected it. He thought that Tang Zheng was insignificant, and had even thought of taking Tang Zheng under his wing, so he showed goodwill in ordinary balance's courtyard. He never thought that things would turn out like this. Perhaps if time went back, he would have made a different decision. Song Yu's heart flashed with many complicated thoughts, but his expression did not change. Instead, he looked at Tang Zheng with a faint smile. Tang Zheng calmly said, "I still have to thank young Master Song for choosing the jade for me. It's nothing. Do you know what I like the most? I like to see a piece of unpolished jade shine with extraordinary splendor after being carved. In this world, unpolished jade is extremely rare, and those that can shine with extraordinary splendor are even rarer. But in the end, those that can truly withstand the test of time and wind and frost are few and far between. Those so-called unpolished jade that disappear in the long river of history only have an instant of youthful splendor before being forgotten." Song Yu lightly said. But these words were too meaningful. Everyone here was smart, so they immediately understood the meaning behind these words. It seemed that the father and son of the Song family liked this kind of thing. Tang Zheng faintly smiled. Of course, he understood that the so-called unpolished jade was him. Song Yu was saying that he, this piece of unpolished jade, would be thrown into the smelly ditch of history. Only Song Yu would leave his name in history. Pay. Tang Zheng originally had a good impression of Song Yu, but after hearing these words, the good impression disappeared. He said, "Young Master Song's words are very true, but I have always thought that jade is too delicate and can't withstand the wind and rain. But no matter the wind and rain, a stone can stand without falling. So I like stone more. In fact, I am also like a stone." Tang Zheng's counterattack was very simple. It made everyone's eyes light up, but it made Song Yu immediately frown. It also made Song Hanjuan's eyes reveal a murderous intent. In particular, Qin Lao's eyes turned cold, like a sharp sword light shooting out. If it wasn't for the fact that this was the Yen family, he would have already made a move. When Qin Lao saw Tang Zheng's heaven-flying immortal swordsmanship in ordinary balance, he was shocked. He guessed that there must be a swordsman master behind Tang Zheng. This master could even be compared to the sword god, so he was worried that such an expert would be disadvantageous to Song Yu, so he left ordinary balance with Song Yu that night. Later on, he had searched everywhere to see if there was such a swordsman master, but he didn't find any clues at all. Moreover, there was no doubt that Tang Zheng was not the successor of the sword god, so his origin was especially mysterious. Originally, he thought that he wouldn't have any contact with Tang Zheng, but this time, Tang Zheng actually came to Beijing and humiliated Song Yu in front of everyone in Beijing. This made Qin Lao very angry. He couldn't wait to take Tang Zheng's life. The atmosphere became very delicate. Tang Zheng and Song Yu looked at each other. Yi Dingdang held Tang Zheng's hand tightly. She knew that she had pushed Tang Zheng into this whirlpool, so she could only hold his hand and give him strength. However, she was full of confidence in Tang Zheng. No matter how big the danger was, she believed that Tang Zheng could deal with it. Everyone looked at this scene at the same time. As the saying goes, when love rivals meet, their eyes turn red. These two love rivals' words were full of sarcasm. How were they going to end this? Whoosh! Chapter 298. This palm was out of everyone's expectations. No one would have thought that there would be someone who would dare to make a move in the Yen family. One had to know that this was the birthday of the Yen family's old man. Therefore, when the palm arrived in front of Tang Zheng, the others finally reacted. However, Tang Zheng's reaction was very fast. Although he was in the Yen family, he still maintained sufficient vigilance. Thus, he quickly extended his palm, channeled all of his innate chi into his palm, and fiercely swung it out. Bang! A thunderous sound rang out as Tang Zheng was sent flying backwards. Luckily, Yi Tianlei's reaction was not slow as he quickly blocked Tang Zheng's back. Both of his palms pressed against Tang Zheng's back, stopping him from retreating. Puff! A trace of blood flowed out from the corner of Tang Zheng's mouth, and pain flashed across his eyes. This attack was truly unbearable, causing his mind to tremble, his innate chi to churn, especially his pure yang energy, which was even more violent, as if a volcano was about to erupt. He furiously looked at the person who had launched the sneak attack. It was a middle-aged man with thick eyebrows and big eyes. He looked dignified without being angry, and it was obvious that he had an extraordinary status. In her eyes, Feng Xinyang was plain and unremarkable, as if she was born with this knowledge. Many things that ordinary people thought were complicated were very simple in her eyes. She was a genius, but this genius found that she could not understand Tang Zheng at all. This was 10 times, something that would never happen to other people. Even if her father had a high position, she could still see through him. This meant that Tang Zheng was even more mysterious than Yen Padian. In fact, it was precisely because she was too smart that she had seen through this world that she felt that this world was boring. That was why she had resolutely decided to become a monk. Hearing Yen Potion's advice, Tang Zheng's expression did not change much, and said calmly, "Thank you for Elder Yan's good intentions, but I have already made up my mind, and will not change it." The King of Medicine shook his head and laughed bitterly. "Little friend Tang Zheng and I do not have the fate of being master and disciple, but to be able to meet you in this life and see some miracles that I have never thought of, I have no regrets in this life." Miracle? What miracle? Everyone was very curious, but if the King of Medicine did not say anything, no one would ask. Even though Yen Padian had a stomach full of questions, he did not ask. Yi Tianlei's family looked at each other. Of course they knew that miracle, it was the miracle created by the life-continuing pill. However, Tang Zheng had agreed beforehand that the person involved could not reveal this matter to others, so it was inconvenient for them to announce it to the public. However, without a doubt, due to the appearance of the Medicine King, the mysterious halo around Tang Zheng's body had increased by a few points. Without a doubt, he had become the focus of attention today, and even Yen Padian, the old man, was probably inferior to him. Tang Zheng's appearance this time was extremely successful, almost blinding everyone's eyes. Chapter 299. Tang Zheng's stunning appearance overshadowed the light of the rest of the people from the Chu family, especially the people from the Chu family, who were extremely jealous. When the old man returned to his seat, Yen Luyun could not help but pat Tang Zheng's shoulder, and praised, "Brother Tang, you're really something, you actually have so many abilities, even Senior King of Medicine praises you so much." Tang Zheng smiled faintly, "My reputation can't compare to Big Brother Yan's, I've made a fool of myself. I don't dare to laugh." "Ha, with a person like you in the capital, it will definitely be even more interesting," Yen Luyun said meaningfully. The others looked at Yi Tianlei enviously. Where did they find such a son-in-law? He was too awesome, these people really wanted to marry their daughters to Tang Zheng. Chu Mingxian snorted coldly from not far away. His sudden attack just now made old man Yen say a few words, but he did not continue to blame him. After all, the relationship between the Yen and Chu families was not ordinary, and Chu Mingxian relied on this to act so recklessly. At the start of the birthday banquet, all of the guests presented their own gifts, all of which were treasures, but Yen Padian only nodded his head lightly, and did not care much about these precious items. "Elder Yen, today is your birthday, and what you usually like the most is martial arts. Why don't we invite a few juniors to spar with each other, and then cheer Elder Yen up? We can also ask Elder Yen to give us a few pointers." Suddenly, Chu Mingxian suggested loudly. Yen Padian was originally whispering to Yen Qingyi, but when he heard this, he couldn't help but raise his head and look at Chu Mingxian in astonishment. Chu Mingxuan's eyes were burning, faintly jumping with excitement. Song Hanjun smiled faintly, and said, Mingxuan's suggestion is not bad. Most of the people here today are martial warriors. Using this method to celebrate Elder Yan's birthday is the best way. Song Hanjun and Chu Mingxian looked at each other and smiled. Yan Patian seemed to be deep in thought as he nodded his head. All right, the waves behind the Yangtze River will push the waves before. The young elites today are better than the previous year, and I also like to watch the competition between the young elites the most. The young elites are the backbone of the next generation. Immediately, everyone's gazes locked onto Tang Zheng at the same time. Chu Mingxian and Song Hanjuan's words seemed to be pointing at something. They were probably here for Tang Zheng. They were so insidious. Obviously, they were doing what Senior Yan liked, pushing Tang Zheng into the fire pit. Yi Dingdang clenched Tang Zheng's hand tightly and said indignantly, they are too despicable. Are they trying to gang up on Tang Zheng again? Feng Xinyang's face was also full of indignation. Apparently, she had seen through the other party's intentions. She said, Dingdang, don't worry. No one will be able to hurt the little handsome brother. Yan Patian glanced at Yan Luyun and said, then let's let our family's Luyun throw a brick to attract jade first. Yan Luyun took a step forward and cupped his hands towards everyone. Since grandfather has given this order, then I will respectfully accept it. I will take this opportunity to wish grandfather a happy birthday. I wish grandfather a happy life like the East Sea and a long life like the South Mountain. Yan Patian nodded kindly. I wonder which young hero is willing to fight with Luyun. Everyone was silent. Yan Luyun was one of the 4 young masters of the capital, and everyone knew that he had the highest cultivation in his entire life. Ordinary people would not dare to challenge him. I'll do it. Suddenly, a young man stood out. This person had a resolute expression, and with a single glance, it was obvious that he was not an ordinary hedonistic son of rich parents. Brother Yan, you have to be lenient. Don't overdo it. The young man said. Yan Luyun laughed out loud, this is just a spar. Without wasting any time, the two of them collided with each other. Yan Luyun's martial arts were extremely ferocious and overbearing, and the challenger was not weak either. The two of them jumped up and down, and it was difficult to determine who would win. Tang Zheng's pupils constricted. This Yan Luyun was indeed not an ordinary person, his power was far above Tang Zheng's. This Yan family's inheritance was really good, the entire family was actually martial arts experts. The two sides fought to their heart's content for hundreds of moves. Suddenly, Yan Luyun's elbow struck the challenger's chest fiercely. Whiz! The challenger directly flew out and landed steadily on the ground. He did not vomit blood, but instead laid on the ground in a slightly sorry state. The outcome had already been decided. Yan Luyun was strong, and this challenger had been completely defeated. Pa pa pa. Warm applause rang out non-stop. Someone praised, young Master Yan is indeed extraordinary. This series of attacks is truly too domineering. Following that, a few more young martial warriors went up to the stage to fight. The atmosphere was extremely intense, causing the birthday banquet to have an additional valiant wind, but it caused Yan Patian to beam. Suddenly, Chu Mingxian said loudly, everyone's battles are very exciting. After a few decades, all of us will no longer be here, and this world will be yours. However, there is still a young expert who has not gone up on stage today. Tang Zheng, you won't be a coward, right? Schwa. Everyone's gaze was attracted to Tang Zheng, their expressions were a little strange. Chu Mingxian had really spared no effort, his sneak attack just now had failed, and now he was actually encouraging him to participate in this kind of arena competition. It was obvious that he did not want to let Tang Zheng have an easy time. Yi Dingdang could not help but fly into a rage, and said furiously, what do you mean? Are you still not satisfied with the sneak attack on Tang Zheng just now? The corner of Chu Mingxuan's mouth raised, and he said, just now, I was not sneak attacking, but testing his skills. After testing him, I realized that he was truly unfathomable. Wouldn't it be a waste if such an expert did not let everyone broaden their horizons? Moreover, the others were all on stage, and he was the only one who was not on stage. Could it be that he was not sincerely wishing Elder Yen well? You don't even agree to this small request. He was too vicious to actually use such words to force Tang Zheng. Don't think that I don't know what you're planning. We won't fall for your trap. Yi Dingdang said straightforwardly. Chu Mingxian knowingly asked, what are you talking about? I don't understand. Tang Zheng, it can't be that you don't want to fight, right? If you're afraid, just say it. Are you afraid? I still don't know how to write this word. Tang Zheng took a step forward and said fearlessly. Tang Zheng, don't be rash. You took his palm strike just now and were injured. It's not suitable for you to continue fighting. Yi Tianlei and Feng Xinyang hurriedly advised. However, Tang Zheng was unmoved. His situation was indeed not optimistic. Although he had temporarily suppressed the restless pure yang energy, if he were to make a move now, he could not guarantee that the pure yang energy would not rebound. However, he could not swallow this anger. After being forced to this extent, if he continued to be a coward, wouldn't he be scolded to death? Seeing that, the others all shook their heads. Tang Zheng was still too impulsive, and had fallen for the other party's provocation. Yan Qingyi's eyes lit up, and said in a low voice, I'm really looking forward to him making a move. Yan Padian laughed, I'm also looking forward to it. This young man is too mysterious. I can also see from him which sect he comes from. This was one of the reasons why Yan Padian agreed to Chu Mingxuan's request. Yan Padian boasted that his martial arts had reached perfection, but this time, he discovered that he could not even see through the cultivation of a junior. This made him feel unconvinced, and he could use this opportunity to investigate. He wanted to see who exactly taught such a mysterious disciple. King of Medicine revealed a worried expression, and said, Little friend Tang Zheng just suffered an internal injury, and now that you're making a move, it's not appropriate. Yan Padian comforted him, Don't worry, with so many of us here, your precious disciple will not be in any danger. King of Medicine laughed bitterly, he didn't agree to be my disciple. This kid is really confused. Yan Padian shook his head and sighed. Yan Qingyi's bright eyes were already fixed on Tang Zheng's body. He walked to the empty space in the center of the hall and stared at Chu Mingxian. Chu Xiaofeng did not come. Could it be that you want to go on stage yourself today? That's right, didn't you sneak attack him just now? This time, it doesn't seem impossible for the big to bully the small again. He dares. Yi Tianlei shouted angrily. Chu Mingxian laughed coldly, Of course it's not me. Since it's a young elite, then it's naturally a competition between juniors. Xiaohun, since Tang Zheng is so powerful, then go and ask him for some pointers. Yes, uncle. A person stood out from behind Chu Mingxian. Just now, this person had been standing behind Chu Mingxian, causing people to almost ignore his existence. Chu Xiaohui. Everyone exclaimed, It's actually him. This time, Tang Zheng will be very troublesome. That's right, Chu Xiaohui is a 9th stage post-celestial stage cultivator. He is slightly weaker than Yan Luyun. Tang Zheng is so young, he is definitely not his match. Hearing the discussions of the crowd, Chu Mingxian explained, Everyone, don't underestimate Tang Zheng. Raging Inferno is a first-grade pre-celestial stage. Didn't he also die in Tang Zheng's hands? Xiaohui is a 9th stage post-celestial stage, far inferior to Tang Zheng. I just want him to give me a few pointers. Chu Mingxuan's words were dignified, but in reality, he was hiding evil intentions. Just now, when he exchanged a palm strike with Tang Zheng, he had already roughly guessed Tang Zheng's cultivation. He was definitely not a pre-celestial expert like the legend said, and being able to kill Raging Inferno was definitely just a coincidence. Just now, he had injured him, and now that he had called Chu Xiaohui, who was at the 9th stage of the post-celestial stage, to fight, he believed that victory was in the bag. If he could accidentally kill Tang Zheng in the battle later on, that would be too wonderful. Even if he couldn't kill Tang Zheng, being able to make him lose face could be considered as regaining face for the Chu clan. Chu Mingxian used his bitter conscience, while the people of the Song family opened their eyes wide, preparing to watch a good show. Qin Lao whispered into Song Yu's ear, "Young master, Tang Zheng is injured, he is definitely not Chu Xiaohui's match. This time, he is going to make a fool of himself." Song Yu's mouth flashed with a cold smile, but he did not say a word. Yi Dingdang could not help but shout, "You guys are too much. If you have the ability, wait until Tang Zheng recovers from his injuries before fighting. What kind of ability is bullying others like this?" Hearing that, Chu Mingxian did not move at all. It's not old Master Yan's birthday in the future, time waits for no one. "Tang Zheng, don't fight with him. This kind of person is shameless." Yi Dingdang advised Tang Zheng. "Not fighting? How could that be?" Tang Zheng did not want to escape, and said, "All right, then bring it on, let's see who wins and who loses." Chu Mingxian gave Chu Xiaohui a look. Chu Xiaohui understood, his face darkened, and cupped his hands. "Then please enlighten me." Whiz. Chapter 300. Tang Zheng opened his 10 fingers like a claw, grabbing towards Chu Xiaohui's ankle. Suddenly, Chu Xiaohui's leg suddenly changed the direction of his attack, and instead of sweeping towards the top of Tang Zheng's head, it swept towards his waist. The change of moves was so fast that Tang Zheng was unable to defend against it. Tang Zheng was shocked, and reacted accordingly, but it was already too late. With a muffled bang, Tang Zheng's waist was ruthlessly struck by the whip kick. Tang Zheng immediately fell to the side. Luckily he used his palm to support himself on the floor, he did not fall to the ground. In that instant, the opponent's attack arrived again, as fast as lightning. Tang Zheng was only at the 4th stage of the foundation establishment stage, and was already a few levels lower than Chu Xiaohui's 9th stage post-celestial stage. Previously, he was also ambushed by Chu Mingxian, and was injured, which made things worse. After eating this kick, he felt that the calm pure yang energy had erupted like a volcano, causing the temperature of his entire body to increase explosively. F***ck, damn it, I've messed up this time. Without the pure yin energy to neutralize it, my body will explode and I will die. Tang Zheng thought sorrowfully. Seeing Chu Xiaohui kicking towards him again, the power was obviously even more terrifying than the previous attack. The others were anxious. Could Tang Zheng withstand this kick? Immediately, everyone held their breaths. Yi Dingdang's hands were tightly clenched, and his lips were even bitten to the point of bleeding. However, he was completely unaware of it, and looked at Tang Zheng in a daze. At this time, Tang Zheng could not summon the heaven-shocking bow out of thin air, and could only use his palms to block it. Why did he miss? There was a black figure in front of him, and this figure seemed a little familiar. Bang! With a muffled sound, a person flew out. Ah! Everyone cried out in alarm at the same time. The person who flew out was not Tang Zheng, but Chu Xiaohui, and another black-clothed man appeared in front of everyone. Who is this? This black-clothed man was clearly not one of the original people in the hall, but had suddenly flown in from outside the hall. The Yen family was heavily guarded, yet this person was able to quietly enter this place, indicating that he was definitely an expert. The man in black did not pay attention to the other people's surprise, nor did he have the slightest fear because this was the famous Yen family. Instead, like a whirlwind, he rushed toward Chu Xiaohui. Before Chu Xiaohui could land on the ground, he found that his leg was grabbed by the man in black. He was shocked. Just now, he didn't even see the other party's movements clearly. Then, he felt like he had kicked a metal plate, and was sent flying by a surge of power. At this moment, seeing that one of his legs was caught, he hurriedly used his other leg to perform a chain kick. A series of kicks landed on his opponent's body. Bang bang bang. However, this person was like a boulder. He did not move at all and did not even make a sound. However, Chu Xiaohui saw the fierce light in the other party's eyes and knew that something was wrong. The man in black raised his fist, aimed at the leg he was grabbing, and smashed it down. Ka-cha! The sound of bones cracking made one's scalp go numb. Chu Xiaohui's eyes widened as he opened his mouth and screamed. Ah, it hurts so much. The others turned pale with fright. Who was this black-clothed man? His attacks were too ruthless, he actually broke Chu Xiaohui's leg in one move. Chu Xiaohui was a 9th stage post-celestial stage martial artist. Could it be that this black-clothed man was a pre-celestial stage martial artist? Chu Mingxuan's expression had already changed. Chu Xiaohui was the one with the highest cultivation in the 3rd generation of monks, but this time, his leg was actually broken by the other party. How could he not be angry? He couldn't help but shout, "Stop!" The black-clothed man acted as if he didn't hear anything. He grabbed the other party's other leg with lightning speed and did the same thing. With a "kacha" sound, the bone broke, and a piece of white bone even pierced through the skin. Hiss! Everyone sucked in a breath of cold air. Too ruthless, this person was too ruthless. Whiz! Chu Mingxian finally made his move and rushed towards the black-clothed man, preparing to snatch his nephew back. However, the black-clothed man was even faster than him. With a pull of his arm, Chu Xiaohui was grabbed by the neck and blocked in front of his chest. In order to avoid accidentally injuring Chu Xiaohui, Chu Mingxian had no choice but to stop. The black-clothed man brought the screaming Chu Xiaohui back to Tang Zheng's side, and Tang Zheng finally saw the black-clothed man clearly, and couldn't help but be dumbstruck. Huang Xiang. Tian Chanzi's puppet. How could it be him? Tang Zheng was truly too shocked. Ever since the ordinary balance parted ways, it had already been a few months. He had not contacted Tian Chanzi at all, and he did not know if Tian Chanzi had found any other cultivators. But why would Huang Xiang appear here at this time? The others also looked at Huang Xiang in shock, and even Yan Padian and the King of Medicine stood up at the same time. Yan Padian looked at Huang Xiang suspiciously. This person seemed to be very evil, and was actually an expert of the 1st grade of the pre-celestial stage. The King of Medicine was even more dumbstruck, and could not help but exclaim, "It's him." He had met Huang Xiang once before. Back then, when Tang Zheng was injured and hospitalized, Huang Xiang went to assassinate Tang Zheng, but was stopped by the King of Medicine. That night's battle was a narrow victory, but from Huang Xiang's actions just now, the King of Medicine could already tell that the other party's cultivation had improved greatly, and was far from what he could contend against. What was going on? Didn't this person want to kill Tang Zheng? Why would he appear here to protect Tang Zheng instead? Hearing the King of Medicine's exclamation, Yan Padian asked curiously, "King of Medicine, do you know him?" "We've met once." "It's a long story." The Ye family was not unfamiliar with Huang Xiang at all. They already knew that Huang Xiang had been subdued by Tang Zheng, but they never thought that he would appear in front of the Yan family in such a way. The others did not recognize Huang Xiang, so they all shouted angrily, "Who is this person?" Seeing that everyone was looking at each other in dismay, Chu Mingxian took a step forward and glared at him. "Tang Zheng, is this the helper you invited?" Tang Zheng's entire body was boiling hot, and his face had also turned red, but he did not have much strength to speak. He sneered, and did not comment. "Hurry up and release Xiaohui, or else I'll make sure you won't be able to leave this house today." Chu Mingxian berated sternly. Tang Zheng still did not say a word, but Huang Xiang made a move, and the hand that was grabbing onto Chu Xiaohui's neck suddenly retracted. Everyone's expression changed, and Chu Mingxian shouted in shock, "No!" But it was all too late. Only the crisp sound of bones breaking could be heard. Chu Xiaohui's neck was easily crushed. Chu Xiaohui's head drooped softly like a dead dog as he died. What? The black-clothed man really killed Chu Xiaohui just like that. Although Chu Xiaohui was not Chu Mingxuan's biological son, he was still the most powerful expert in the 3rd generation of the Chu clan. Furthermore, he was not like Chu Xiaofeng, who only knew how to play around. He was someone who Chu Mingxian had high hopes for, but he was killed by the black-clothed man in front of everyone's eyes. The black-clothed man did not hesitate in the slightest. Everyone felt that this was simply a dream. This black-clothed man didn't seem to put the famous Chu clan in his eyes at all. Huang Xiang didn't have much of a mind, he was just a killing machine. Even if it was the Heavenly King, he wouldn't put him in his eyes, let alone the Chu clan. Since Chu Shaohui was dead, Chu Mingxian no longer had any scruples. Furthermore, in his rage, he did not care about anything else. With a roar, he struck Huang Xiang's body with his palm. His speed was too fast, Huang Xiang didn't even have time to dodge, and took the palm strike head-on. Bang! Huang Xiang flew out, fiercely smashing into a pillar, and landed on the ground in a sorry state. Dead? Everyone had doubts in their hearts. After taking such a shocking palm strike from a pre-celestial martial artist, he definitely wouldn't be able to survive, right? Chu Mingxian was very confident that this palm strike was enough to take the other party's life, but he did not stop there. His target was Tang Zheng. Tang Zheng, Shaohui is dead. I want you to pay with your life. Chu Mingxian roared. Stop! Yi Tianlei and Feng Xinyang both moved at the same time. The two of them were very fast, and in the blink of an eye, they were already behind Chu Mingxian. Tang Zheng was already dizzy from the pure yang energy, and did not have the strength to resist at all. Seeing Chu Mingxian launch a fatal attack at him, he was powerless to do anything. Damn, Tian Chanzi, are you really going to watch me die? He cursed in his heart. But Tian Chanzi did not appear, because Huang Xiang was blocking in front of him again. But this time, Huang Xiang had also prepared his defense. He kicked towards Chu Mingxuan's chest, causing the air to explode, and the air was compressed to the extreme by this kick. Chu Mingxian turned pale with fright. How could this black-clothed man not die? He was very clear on how powerful his palm strike was. However, at this moment, Chu Mingxian was being attacked from both sides. In front of him was Huang Xiang, and behind him was the Ye family couple. If he was hit, he would probably lose half of his life. Stop! Suddenly, a loud shout rang out, and a huge gust of wind rose up from the ground. Chu Mingxian felt as if he was flying through the clouds, and landed lightly on the ground without any injuries. His original position had become a person. It was not Yan Qishan, but Yan Qishan. Yan Qishan threw out both of his palms, each facing the left and right directions. Bang bang bang. 3 muffled sounds rang out. Yan Qishan did not move at all, while Yi Tianlei and the other two were sent flying, but they were not injured. Obviously, Yan Qishan did not have any intention of hurting anyone. This was the power of the Grandmaster stage. Facing 3 pre-celestial martial artists, he could advance and retreat as he pleased. Stop fighting. Yan Qishan said with a dark face. Yi Tianlei and Feng Xinyang only wanted to save Tang Zheng, and did not want to continue fighting with Yan Qishan. Furthermore, this attack had already made them realize the difference between them. The Yan family had 2 Grandmaster stage experts, and this foundation was indeed something that the other families could not compare to. No wonder they were able to sit firmly on the throne of the 4 great clans. The others could not help but secretly cheer. Today's birthday banquet was truly the right thing to do. There was actually such a wonderful show, and they were lucky enough to see a Grandmaster make a move. However, Chu Mingxian did not rejoice that he had survived a calamity. Instead, he became even more furious and roared, "Elder Yan, everyone has seen everything today. It's not that I'm starting this, but Tang Zheng's accomplice trespassed into the Yan family and even cruelly killed my nephew, Shaohui. I must make Tang Zheng and this black-clothed man pay with their lives. If you're dead, then you're dead. You still want people to pay with their lives? Hee, if I kill you, you won't be so noisy anymore." Suddenly, a light voice came from the roof. Chapter 301. This light voice came from the roof, shocking everyone. There were so many people present, and there were so many experts, yet no one noticed that there was someone above them. Everyone raised their heads at the same time and saw a person sitting on the roof beam, swinging his legs casually. This person had sword-like eyebrows and starry eyes. He had a head full of long black hair as he looked at the people below in ridicule. Yan Padian and Yan Qishan looked at each other. This father and son pair had the highest cultivation out of all of them, and they were even in the martial ancestor realm. However, just like the others, the two of them did not notice any trace of this person. This made them tremble in fear. Where did such an expert come from? Yi Dingdang resisted the overwhelming pure yang energy and raised his head to look. A trace of joy flashed past his eyes. Tian Chanzi, he had actually arrived a long time ago. Tian Chanzi also saw Tang Zheng's gaze, and winked at him, indicating that he should be at ease. Tang Zheng heaved a sigh of relief, but the others held their breaths as they looked at this stranger in bewilderment. Especially Chu Mingxian, when he heard the other party's undisguised provocation, he flew into a rage. Who are you, to actually dare to speak such arrogant words? Oh, do you think I can't kill you? Tian Chanzi asked in ridicule. This place is filled with experts. What can you do to me? Moreover, for trespassing into the Yan family, you will definitely die. Chu Mingxian had the support of the Yan family, so he was not afraid at all. Furthermore, this person had barged into the Yan family without permission, which was a great disrespect to the Yan family. Chu Mingxian believed that Yan Padian would definitely not stand by and watch. You dare to question me? You have quite the guts. Moreover, you keep saying that you want to kill Tang Zheng, so I don't mind sending you to your death first. With that said, Tian Chanzi's figure disappeared from the beam, and in the blink of an eye, another person appeared in front of Chu Mingxian. Chu Mingxian wanted to circulate his energy to resist, but he realized that he didn't have much strength to resist. A terrifying aura lingered at the bottom of his heart, causing him to be unable to resist. What's going on? Why do I have such a feeling? He turned pale with fright. There was nowhere to run. When the others saw that Chu Mingxian did not move at all, and did not show any signs of resistance, they were greatly astonished. Was Chu Mingxian stupid? Stop! Suddenly, a heaven-shaking explosive shout sounded out. Yan Padian leaped over everyone's heads and stood in front of Chu Mingxian. Bang! When the two palms collided, Tian Chanzi landed steadily on the ground, but Yan Padian retreated 3 steps and crashed into Chu Mingxian's body, causing him to fall to the ground in a sorry state. Ah! Cries of alarm rose from all directions. Everyone felt that this scene was too inconceivable. Yan Padian, the Grandmaster, had actually taken 3 steps back, but this mysterious person had landed steadily on the ground. Everyone's eyes almost popped out of their sockets. First, there was a black-clothed man, and now there was this mysterious expert. Where the hell did these monsters come from? Father! Yan Qishan supported Yan Padian with his entire body, and his face also became gloomy. The father and son were both grandmaster martial artists, so they could understand the terror of Tian Chanzi better than anyone else. Tian Chanzi curled his lips carelessly. The so-called 100-year-old family is nothing more than this. When the others heard this, their faces turned pale. This person really dared to boast, and did not put the Yan family in his eyes at all. Chu Mingxian had just survived a calamity, and was filled with lingering fear. He finally understood that he had walked through the gates of hell. Hearing the other party's disdainful words, Chu Mingxian stood up in a sorry state and said, Elder Yan, we absolutely cannot let this person go. Yan Qishan glared at Chu Mingxian. Chu Mingxuan's heartstrings trembled, and he immediately shut up. He had never seen such a look in the eyes of the Yan family's father and son, which meant that the threat of this mysterious person was extraordinary. Yan Padian took a step forward, cupped his fists and said, May I ask which expert you are, to come to my humble abode? Yan family is honored to have you here. Tian Chanzi chuckled, Don't be hypocritical, I am not interested in Yan family at all. I just heard that someone wanted my disciple's life, so I did not hesitate to make a move. As his master, of course I have to seek justice for my disciple. Disciple, may I know who my disciple is? Yen Padian asked curiously. Tian Chanzi glanced at Tang Zheng and said, Good disciple, quickly come over and let me take a look. I haven't seen you for so many days, I really miss you. Tang Zheng could not help but roll his eyes. Tian Chanzi, this guy, was taking advantage of him again. He did not admit that he was his disciple. However, in order to deceive others, he could not refute him. He could only resentfully walk over. Be good, call me master. Tian Chanzi laughed sinisterly. Master. Tang Zheng had no choice but to compromise. Tian Chanzi laughed out loud and grabbed Tang Zheng's wrist. He could already feel the surging pure yang energy in his body and knew what was going on. Looks like the situation is not optimistic. Nonsense. Tian Chanzi did not get angry, but patted his shoulder and said, Don't worry, with your master here, I will definitely help you vent your anger. When the others heard this, they all looked at Chu Mingxian. Without a doubt, these words were directed at Chu Mingxian. Chu Mingxuan's face instantly turned pale, and he subconsciously hid behind Yen Padian. Am I Tang Zheng's master? Yen Padian asked in surprise. Of course, the guy behind you wants to deal with my disciple. Move aside, I want to teach him a lesson today. Tian Chanzi waved his hand, indicating for Yen Padian to leave. This casual attitude caused the others to feel a chill in their hearts. This person was too ferocious, he actually dared to speak to Yen Padian in such a manner. One must know that Yen Padian was an invincible existence in the capital. However, this mysterious expert obviously did not put him in his eyes. Tang Zheng actually had such a master, wasn't this too heaven-defying? Many people looked at Tang Zheng with complicated gazes. Envy, jealousy, hatred, and so on. Today is this old man's 80th birthday, and Mingxian is a guest of the Yen family. Why don't you give me some face, and this matter will end here? Yen Padian said calmly. Tian Chanzi shrugged his shoulders, glanced at Tang Zheng, and said, Disciple, what should we do now? My master is not handing him over. Before Tang Zheng could reply, Tian Chanzi asked and answered himself, I know what you mean. Just now, that guy surnamed Chu wanted to kill you. If we were to let go of such a person so easily, then wouldn't we, master and disciple, lose a lot of face? In the future, anyone would dare to ride on our heads and act like a tyrant. Everyone's heart trembled. These words were too straightforward. This was not a peace talk, but a direct fight. Yen Qishan said impatiently, This is the Yen family, my father has the final say. Furthermore, Tang Zheng is Tianlei's son-in-law, this is a misunderstanding, so please don't go too far, so as to avoid getting along with each other. Hearing that, Tian Chanzi's eyes widened, his gaze locked onto Yi Dingdang in the crowd, and patted Tang Zheng in surprise, praising, Wow, my good disciple, you've finally understood, not bad, I've long felt that this girl from the Ye family is not bad, now you've finally succeeded. Yi Dingdang's face flushed red when she heard that. She glanced at Tang Zheng with her beautiful eyes and thought to herself, so I didn't guess wrong before, he had long since harbored ill intentions towards her. Yi Tianlei and Feng Xinyang's expressions were a little strange, they didn't know whether to laugh or cry as they looked at Tian Chanzi. They had always respected this expert, they never thought that he would have such a side to his personality. The others looked at the Ye family with even more complicated expressions. No wonder the Ye family disregarded the Song family's face and broke off the marriage, and instead betrothed Yi Dingdang to an unknown brat. It turned out that this brat actually had such a deep background, and had such a powerful master. Song Yu's expression changed slightly, she was bewildered. She had underestimated Tang Zheng too much in the past, this love rival was much more complicated than she had imagined. Hee, my disciple is the son-in-law of the Ye family, what does it have to do with me? I'm just venting my anger for my disciple and seeking justice. Tian Chanzi continued. Your Highness, nephew Mingxian is a guest. Forgive me for not being able to comply, but it's impossible for me to hand him over to you. Yen Padian said resolutely. Heaven Monk shrugged his shoulders indifferently. I had already expected this result. Since you insist on going your own way, then let's have a fight. Let's see who's the real deal. This is the real deal. Alright, since you say so, it just so happens that I haven't exercised my muscles and bones for many years. Today, please enlighten me. Yen Padian was not afraid, but instead took a step forward and stepped forward. No matter what, Yen Padian could not retreat. This was the Yen family, and with so many people watching today, if he retreated, then the reputation of the Yen family would be damaged. This was a fatal blow. In addition, he was also very curious as to where such an expert came from. If he didn't fight, how could he see through the other party's clues? Father, today is your birthday. Let me do it. Yen Qishan said without hesitation. Tian Chanzi chuckled, are you fighting with me? Not long ago, I fought with a fool who used a sword. Today, I want to see who is stronger between you and that fool. A fool who uses a sword. Everyone was stunned for a moment, and many of the people who reacted quickly had already turned pale. Qin Lao was one of them, and he was shocked in his heart. A fool who uses a sword, could it be that he is talking about the sword god? The sword god loves the sword like a fool, and to ordinary people, he is already a little silly. He is definitely talking about the sword god. Back then, when old man Qin saw Tang Zheng's heaven-flying immortal's sword technique, he was shocked. Back then, he made a comparison between this sword technique and the sword god's sword technique. At that time, he even suspected that Tang Zheng was the sword god's disciple, but later on, he denied this point. This time, when he saw Tian Chanzi, he was glad that he had made the decision back then. If he had stayed in the ordinary balance back then and caused harm to Tang Zheng, then this person would definitely have appeared. Not only him, even Song Yu would not be able to leave the ordinary balance. You fought with the sword god? Yen Padian asked in bewilderment. Someone seems to call him that. Tian Chanzi said. After receiving this confirmation, everyone's heart trembled. This person was too heaven-defying. He actually exchanged blows with the elusive sword god. Chapter 302. Tian Chanzi seemed to have seen through the thoughts of the others, and said, that fool was injured in the end. The sword god was defeated. In their eyes, the sword god's attainments in the martial way were even higher than Yen potions, but he was still defeated by this person. What did this mean? This meant that this person was abnormally strong. The faces of Yen Padian and his son darkened at the same time. Yen Qishan had volunteered to fight in his father's place, but now it seemed that he did not have the qualifications to do so. Although he was also a Grandmaster martial artist, he was only at the first level of the Grandmaster martial artist. Yen Padian said in a deep voice, Qishan, step down. Since this person can injure the sword god, then I will experience his skills today. Tian Chanzi laughed and said, good disciple, just watch for a while, I'll send him away first. I can still hold on. Tang Zheng clenched his teeth and said. Seeing that, Yi Tianlei really wanted to persuade him, but he swallowed his words back. The scene of Chu Mingxian pressuring him step by step was still vivid in his mind, causing him to be unable to persuade him. Let's let Tang Zheng's master handle this matter. I've long disliked Chu Mingxian, so I can borrow senior's hands to teach him a lesson. Feng Xinyang advised in a low voice. 8 Yi Tianlei sighed secretly. After such a disturbance, the capital was truly going to be in turmoil, especially since the background and strength that Tang Zheng had displayed this time was enough to attract the attention of all the powers. After this, the reputation of the Ye family will definitely rise to an unprecedented level. Feng Xinyang sighed with emotion. The Ye family had made the right move, and had reaped a lot of benefits. Yi Dingdang did not have that many complicated thoughts, he only heaved a sigh of relief in his heart. Since Tian Chanzi had come, then Tang Zheng would be safe. She immediately ran over to support Tang Zheng and asked with concern, "How are you?" Their hands were tightly clasped together. Tang Zheng's entire body trembled as a wave of pure yin energy majestically entered his body. His eyes lit up and he subconsciously tightened his grip on her hand. Yi Dingdang was overjoyed. Both of his hands held onto his hand, their fingers intertwined, as if their souls were leaning against each other. She had a strange feeling in her heart, but when she felt the high temperature of his palm, she hurriedly asked, "Why is your body temperature so high?" Tang Zheng took a deep breath and said, "I'm fine." Although the pure yin energy of the pure yin energy, it was not enough to let him out of his predicament to the brink of the situation. "But your body temperature?" Tang Zheng shook his head, "I'm fine." Then, he circulated his energy and quickly absorbed her pure yin energy. Seeing that, Yi Dingdang did not ask any further. The two of them looked at Tian Chanzi at the same time, only to see Tian Chanzi ordering Huang Xiang, "Protect him well, kill anyone who dares to harm him." Huang Xiang did not say anything, but stood in front of Tang Zheng without hesitation. His eyes shone with a fierce light that could captivate one's soul. The others subconsciously avoided his gaze, not daring to look him in the eye. "Come, let me see who is stronger between you and that idiot who uses a sword." Tian Chanzi took a step forward. This step was not big, but with just this step, he had closed the distance between him and Yen Padian by a few meters. Yen Potion's face darkened as he lightly punched out. This punch looked ordinary and did not have much power. But when his fist arrived in front of Tian Chanzi, bang bang bang, the air around Tian Chanzi released a series of explosive sounds, but the air turned into fists that could not be seen with the naked eye, and the vast aura caused one's heart to tremble. This was a very mysterious realm of fist techniques. It was a realm where the fist intent that burst forth resonated with the air, causing the air to also become as powerful as a fist. The air was everywhere, so the attack was naturally everywhere. Unless one was an expert of the same realm, it would be impossible to unleash such an exquisite cultivation technique. Although the others did not understand, when they saw such a scene, some of them were so scared that their faces turned pale and their legs went weak. The corner of Tian Chanzi's mouth curled up, and he also punched out. The moment he punched out, he displayed an incomparable might, and his fist seemed to have instantly grown larger. No. It was definitely not getting bigger, but the surface of his fist was emitting a faint layer of light. His palm glowed. What realm was this? Only a few people knew that this was a manifestation of a cultivation technique that had been trained to the extreme. This was the manifestation of the inner strength being released. When the inner strength was forced out of the body, there would be this kind of fist light. However, they did not know that this fist light was not caused by the release of inner strength, but by the release of innate qi. However, Tian Chanzi was good at passing off fake as real, so no one else could discover any clues. When Tian Chanzi fought with such a warrior expert, of course he would not rashly use spells. These people were all smart people. If the other party were to see through his identity as a cultivator, although Tian Chanzi was not afraid at all, it would cause trouble for Tang Zheng. Tian Chanzi was an old monster who had lived for over 1,000 years. He was the one who was truly smart, and when he considered the problem, he would not easily reveal any flaws. A fist with a fist light met the attack that was everywhere and merged into the air. Boom! With a loud sound, screams came from the crowd. Many people were blown away by the energy that spread out in all directions, and some even spat out blood. Yan Qishan hurriedly advised loudly, "Everyone, quickly leave the hall." Everyone stepped out bravely. They were originally prepared to watch a good show, but this was only the first move, and it had already burst forth with such terrifying power. It caused them to personally experience the danger of an expert's exchange of blows. Being a spectator was also a life-threatening situation. However, no one left. They all gathered near the entrance of the hall and stretched their necks to look at the two sides of the battle. There were only 2 people left in the hall. Even a pre-celestial martial artist like Yi Tianlei had no choice but to retreat. This punch was just an appetizer. Tian Chanzi and Yen Potion's clothes fluttered in the wind, but their bodies did not move in the slightest. This old man is using the dragon form technique. Please enlighten me. As soon as Yen Patian finished speaking, his body actually became illusory. However, this was not a spell, but a violent fluctuation produced by the inner strength in his body, causing the surrounding air to fluctuate as well. Ripples spread out in circles, making people feel as if his body was about to disappear. Actually, he was still standing in place. Roar! With a furious roar that sounded like a dragon's roar, a wave of air rose into the air. His entire body turned into an angry dragon as he attacked Tian Chanzi. This scene was an eye-opener. In the eyes of many people, Yen Patian seemed to have truly turned into an angry dragon, attacking with an invincible might. Tian Chanzi formed a sword art in his hand, causing the air to vibrate, and a sword appeared in his hand. It was not a real sword, but a sword formed from innate qi, emitting a faint light. Sword qi, it's actually sword qi, and it's sword qi that has condensed into a real sword. The crowd cried out in alarm. People who practiced sword arts needed a certain amount of power to cultivate sword qi, but it was not too difficult. For example, pre-celestial stage martial artists could usually unleash sword qi. However, to condense sword qi into a real sword like Tian Chanzi was simply wishful thinking. It was absolutely impossible. Many people looked at the real sword and understood that Tian Chanzi was not exaggerating when he said that he had injured the sword god. He really did have the strength to do so, and he had even used the sword that the sword god was most proud of to injure the other party. My good disciple, it seems that this sword technique is different from what you usually use. Tian Chanzi roared. Tang Zheng's heart moved, knowing that Tian Chanzi was about to use the heaven-flying immortal's sword technique. Tang Zheng had already completely learned the first move, Wind Surge, and the second move had already been mastered to the 30th move. Tian Chanzi was going to show himself, he would not let go of this rare opportunity. The others also stared at Tian Chanzi, knowing that this sword technique was not ordinary. If they could comprehend one or two of it, then they would benefit for the rest of their lives. Whoosh, the sword danced, and the air in all directions began to churn, as if it had turned into clouds and mist. Violent winds rose from the ground, howling incessantly. Wind Surge. The move Tian Chanzi used was the first move of the heaven-flying immortal's sword technique. Tang Zheng's pupils constricted, he himself definitely did not have such a strong power. Tian Chanzi's move was many times stronger than his. Pa pa pa. The tables and chairs in the hall turned into dust amidst the tumbling waves of air, and then, they mixed with the air and condensed on the surface of the longsword. In an instant, the longsword suddenly became 10 times larger. The sword was originally only half a meter long, but now, it had become 5 meters long and incomparably wide. This is no longer the first move. This is the second move. Yes, this is the second move that I have yet to fully comprehend. Tang Zheng became excited, his eyes wide open. Roar! Yen Potion's aura had also finished accumulating, and the furious dragon that he had transformed into increased by several times. He opened his mouth and bit towards Tian Chanzi. Sword-breaking Qianjun. Tian Chanzi roared, the gigantic sword slashed down, ruthlessly slashing onto the body of the furious dragon. In that instant, time seemed to have stopped, and the air in the hall seemed to have frozen. Everyone's eyes froze at this moment, and the figures of the gigantic sword and the raging dragon were deeply imprinted in their hearts. Many people who did not know martial arts or were weak felt their minds tremble as an indescribable pressure pressed down on their hearts. Their eyes rolled back and they fainted one after another. In the blink of an eye, dozens of people had already fainted. Those who persevered were all warriors above the 8th grade of body refining stage. Yidingdang's face was deathly pale, her legs were trembling, but a warm power was transmitted into her body from Tang Zheng's palm, allowing her to resist the power. Some of the pre-celestial martial artists present finally realized the difference between them and the Grandmaster. There was no way to make up for this kind of gap, it was a natural moat. All of this took a long time to describe, but in fact, it only took an instant. The gigantic sword shattered, and the raging dragon also disintegrated. A powerful wave of air soared into the sky, and smoke and dust rose in all directions. No one could see the people in the hall clearly. Kacha kacha kacha, a series of strange noises rang out, and before anyone could figure out what was going on, they heard a loud bang, and the large wooden building collapsed with a loud bang. Chapter 303. The wooden building collapsed and dust rose in all directions. Everyone retreated one after another as they stared at the messy ruins with their mouths agape. This wooden building had actually been torn apart during the battle between the two of them. Were they still human? It actually had such terrifying power. However, what happened to the two of them? Would they be buried in the ruins and die? Before anyone could react, two figures soared into the sky from the ruins and stood firmly in the middle of the ruins. However, there was not a single speck of dust or debris on their bodies. Their clothes fluttered in the wind. The others stared at the two of them, not knowing how the battle was going. Suddenly, Yen Potion's body swayed, and he retreated half a step. He sighed and said, "I've lost, my power is indeed extraordinary." Tian Chanzi chuckled and said, "Your power is not weak either, it's about the same as that idiot who uses the sword. You can be considered an expert in this world." Yes, Yen Potion's strength could indeed be considered an expert in this world, but if it was placed in the cultivation world of 1,000 years ago, it would not be that outstanding. Naturally, in Tian Chanzi's eyes, Yen Padian was not worth paying too much attention to. But when the others heard this, their expressions became especially complicated and interesting. Just how powerful was this mysterious expert? His tone was so big, and he had so easily defeated Yen Padian, who seemed unreachable to them. "May I ask your name? Why have I never heard of you before?" Yen Padian asked. "Hee, of course you haven't heard of me. As for my name, it's just a code name. There's no need for you to know." After Tian Chanzi finished speaking, he strode towards Tang Zheng, who was at the edge of the ruins. When the others saw this, they all retreated, as if they were afraid that Tian Chanzi would kill them. "My good disciple, did you see it clearly just now?" Tian Chanzi asked. Tang Zheng nodded his head. Those two moves of the heaven-flying immortal sword technique were completed in one go, causing Tang Zheng to be mesmerized by them, but he also had many different insights. Just now, he had completely comprehended the last 6 moves of the second move of the heaven-flying immortal sword technique, which meant that he had completely mastered the second move of the heaven-flying immortal sword technique, the 36 moves. The sword can break through 1,000 caddies. It has the power of 1,000 caddies. All enemies will be defeated by the sword. Tang Zheng said in a deep voice. Tian Chanzi nodded appreciatively and said, "Not bad. Now that you've learned 2 moves, the rest will depend on your luck." When the others heard this, they looked at Tang Zheng in shock. He had actually learned such a terrifying sword technique just now. Although they had clearly seen Tian Chanzi's sword move, they were still unable to grasp the main point. This was the ingenuity of the transcendent flying immortal sword technique. Even if an outsider could clearly see how the sword moved, without a sword technique, it would be useless. Many people looked at Tang Zheng with red eyes, thinking to themselves, if I were to learn those 2 sword techniques just now, then wouldn't I also be as powerful as this mysterious expert? That would simply be the trend of sweeping through the world. Of course, this was their wishful thinking. Even if Tang Zheng had already completely learned these 2 moves, the power he displayed was still incomparable to Tian Chanzi's. This was because of the limitations of one's cultivation. Although the moves were the same, the deeper one's cultivation, the greater the power. Now that no one is stopping us, let's solve the problem. Tian Chanzi turned around and locked onto Chu Mingxian, who was in the crowd. Chu Mingshuan's face instantly turned pale. He hid behind Yen Qishan and said, "Elder Yen, Brother Qishan, you can't let this person do whatever he wants." Yan Qishan's expression kept changing. He looked towards his father, but Yan Padian acted as if he did not see him. Immediately, Yan Qishan understood his father's decision. This mysterious person was too powerful. Although this was the Yan family's territory, in the face of such a powerful existence, the Yan family had no choice but to compromise. The Yan family was no longer prepared to protect Chu Mingxian. Although the Chu family had a close relationship with the Yan family, it was still not as big of a threat as Tian Chanzi. Yan Padian had fought with Tian Chanzi before, so he could deeply understand how terrifying he was, so he did not dare to offend him. Tian Chanzi chuckled, and asked jokingly, "Didn't you say that you were going to deal with my disciple? Why are you afraid now?" Chu Mingxian pretended to be fierce and shouted, "What are you doing? In broad daylight, if you dare to harm me, the Chu family will not let you off." Normally, Chu Mingxian would never say such threatening words, because ordinary people would not be able to threaten him at all. Even the people from the other great clans would not be able to make him so afraid, because the people from the great clans did not represent themselves, but the entire clan behind them. Every word and action of theirs had to be for the benefit of the clan. But Tian Chanzi obviously did not have such concerns. Since this person wanted to deal with Tang Zheng, then he would naturally have to take revenge. Seeing Tian Chanzi walking over step by step, the rest of the people around him retreated like they were avoiding the plague, not daring to stay by Chu Mingxuan's side. Chu Mingxuan's face had already turned deathly pale, beads of sweat the size of beans seeped out of his forehead, and his legs were trembling. Although Tian Chanzi had not done anything yet, this soul-stirring aura caused his breathing to involuntarily become heavier. The others kept quiet out of fear as they stared at Tian Chanzi and Chu Mingxian. Some of them even rejoiced that they did not add insult to injury just now. The people of the Song family had this kind of feeling. Although they were also angry at Tang Zheng, they did not show it on their faces. Otherwise, Tian Chanzi would also rush towards them, and the Song family would not be able to resist. Chu Mingxian retreating again and again. However, Tian Chanzi's pace was obviously faster than his, and in the blink of an eye, Tian Chanzi was already in front of him. Chu Mingxuan's heart turned cold. Suddenly, he had an idea, and shouted towards Yi Tianlei, "Yi Tianlei, if anything happens to me today, the Chu family will definitely not let the Ya family off, and will definitely make the Ya family disappear from this world." Feng Xinyang's expression suddenly changed, and he said angrily, "Chu Mingxian, you are shouting crazily. Think about how you treated Tang Zheng just now, you brought this upon yourself." Yi Tianlei's expression also became extremely ugly. Looking at the fear on Chu Mingxuan's face and the determination on Tian Chanzi's face, his mind raced. If Chu Mingxian really died, and died because of Tang Zheng, then the Chu family will definitely blame this on the Ye family. Although the Ye family now has a great master martial artist, it has only been a few months, and their strength and foundation cannot compare to the Chu family. In the blink of an eye, Yi Tianlei had already made his decision, and hurriedly advised, "Senior, please spare his life, otherwise the situation will be too serious." Yi Tianlei taking the initiative to plead for mercy did not cause the others to look down on him, because they were very clear on what kind of storm Mingxian's death would cause. Since Yi Tianlei was representing the Ye family now, he naturally had to consider the interests of the Ye family. But what made everyone's jaws drop was that Tian Chanzi did not even care about him, and attacked like lightning. Chu Mingxian pointed his foot in front of him and flew backwards. However, Heaven Monk did not give him the chance to dodge at all. He grabbed downwards with his big hand, and a strong suction force appeared. Chu Mingxian felt his entire body tighten, as if his blood was about to freeze. He stared at his opponent in fear, but there was nowhere to run. He had lived for most of his life and had always been pampered. When had he ever received such a fatal threat? Yi Dingdang looked at his father, then looked at Tian Chanzi and Chu Mingxian. In the end, he clenched his teeth and said, "Tang Zheng, can you tell your master to stop? If Chu Mingxian dies, the Ye family will be in trouble." Tang Zheng pondered for a moment. He was the son-in-law of the Ye family to the outside world. If Chu Mingxian really died in the hands of Tian Chanzi, the Chu family would definitely blame this on the Ye family. Moreover, he would be living in the capital for the next few years. If he really killed Chu Mingxian, the Chu family would definitely not be able to swallow this anger. If one did not know, the Chu family could also have a great master stage expert, which was an absolute threat to Tang Zheng. This time, the most important thing for him was to display his strength and make others fear him. From today onwards, they would not dare to make a move against him without permission, so teaching Chu Mingxian a lesson was the most sensible thing to do. Looking at Yidingdang's anxious eyes, Tang Zheng nodded and said to Tian Chanzi, "Master, be gentle." This call of "master" made Tian Chanzi feel comfortable all over, and he immediately cracked open his mouth to laugh. Although this was an act, hearing Tang Zheng call him master, he was still happy from the bottom of his heart. Tian Chanzi's greatest regret in his life was not being able to take Tang Zheng in as a disciple, so he felt that it was especially precious to have him call him master. If anyone else knew of this, they would definitely want to kneel in front of Tian Chanzi and continuously kowtow and call him master. Having this kind of master was simply a dream come true. "Alright, you can avoid death, but you can't escape punishment," Tian Chanzi said lightly. The others all turned their heads and looked at Tang Zheng in shock. His words had such a great effect. This disciple was simply too awesome. Many people had the same thought. They absolutely could not provoke Tang Zheng. In the future, when they went back, they would have to warn their families that if they met this guy, they would have to avoid him and take a detour. Tang Zheng had already become infamous for killing Raging Inferno earlier. Because of what happened today, his reputation became even more infamous, and no one would dare to provoke him in the future. This was also what Tang Zheng hoped for. Yi Tianlei and Feng Xinyang heaved a sigh of relief at the same time. As long as Chu Mingxian did not die, then the Ye family would not be so passive in this matter. At the same time, the father and son of the Yen family also heaved a sigh of relief. If Chu Mingxian was killed in the Yen family, then the Yen family and the Chu family would be finished. However, even if it wasn't completely over this time, there was very little affection left. The father and son of the Yen family had their own difficulties. Facing a powerful and mysterious existence like Tian Chanzi, not everyone, not every family, had the power to resist. When Chu Mingxian heard that he did not need to die, he was like a drowning person grabbing onto a life-saving straw. His brows revealed a trace of relief, but when he saw Heaven Monk's still cold eyes, he immediately felt as if he had fallen into an ice cave. The death penalty could be avoided, but the punishment was hard to forgive. Chapter 304. This heart-wrenching scream caused the hearts of the others to tremble, especially the twisted expression on Chu Mingxuan's face. Many people who had fainted just now woke up because of this scream, but when they saw Chu Mingxuan's appearance, they immediately fainted from fright. Chu Mingxian immediately became sinister and terrifying, like an evil spirit that had crawled out of hell. His face alternated between green and white, and bean-sized beads of sweat covered his face. Furthermore, the bones in his body emitted a series of cracking sounds. A smart person would know that his bones were broken, and the bones were broken from the upper half of his body to the lower half of his body. His entire body was broken by Tian Chanzi's great strength. This kind of pain was truly unbearable, causing people to feel fear at the sight of it. However, Tian Chanzi's expression did not change at all. It was extremely calm. Suddenly, he let go of his hand, and Chu Mingxian could no longer scream. His entire body was trembling, and he was lying on the ground like a pile of mud, on the verge of death. Tian Chanzi clapped his hands, and glanced at the king of medicine without caring at all, and said, "You have a way to cure him." The king of medicine subconsciously nodded his head. He had studied this kind of bone-breaking technique for many years, so of course he was very proficient in it. Although Tian Chanzi had broken many of the other party's bones, the king of medicine really had miraculous pills that could reconnect these bones. However, Chu Mingxian was going to suffer greatly. It would take at least 1.5 years to recover from this injury. Tian Chanzi said that the death penalty could be avoided, but the punishment was hard to forgive. This made the others feel that perhaps death would be better than this pain. The king of medicine came back to his senses, and stared at Tian Chanzi in astonishment, and said, "Senior, you know me?" "King of medicine, my disciple has some fate with you," Tian Chanzi said indifferently. The king of medicine looked towards Tang Zheng, thinking that Tang Zheng must have mentioned him to Tian Chanzi, and couldn't help but feel honored. Ever since he knew about the life-continuing pill, the king of medicine had treated Tang Zheng, this mysterious master, as a senior. This was not in terms of martial arts, but in terms of medical skills. He had always fantasized that he would be able to ask for advice face to face one day, but he never thought that the opportunity would come so quickly. Although the others were very surprised that the king of medicine called Tian Chanzi senior, because from the looks of the two, Tian Chanzi was at most middle-aged, similar to Yi Tianlei and the others. He was much younger than the king of medicine and Yan Padian. Moreover, medicine was different from martial arts. Everyone knew that the king of medicine was the apricot forest saint, and was the most powerful person in this area, but he wholeheartedly called Tian Chanzi senior. Could it be that not only was this person skilled in martial arts, but his medical skills were also better than the king of medicine? This was truly heaven-defying. Medicine and martial arts were two completely different systems. This person had reached the peak of both fields, making them really want to suspect that Tian Chanzi was not human. Even Yan Padian could not help but look at Tian Chanzi in astonishment. The king of medicine was incomparably honored, and said excitedly, "Senior, it is my great honor to be able to meet you today. Junior has many things to ask of you." Tian Chanzi waved his hand and said, "I still have a lot of things to do. Next time if you are fated to do so, I will give you a few pointers, but right now, I can give you a sentence. The way of the apricot forest is a type of great Tao. As long as you persevere and use your imagination is currently restricted too much. There are not many things in the world that are impossible, especially the way of the apricot forest, flesh and bones, and the resurrection of the dead, are not nonsense, but can really be realized." Every time Tian Chanzi said a word, the king of medicine's heart seemed to have been baptized, thumping wildly, as if it was about to burst out of his chest. His eyes also widened, his eyes shining, and he trembled as he muttered to himself, "Flesh and bones, the resurrection of the dead. It really can be realized." Suddenly, he thought of the life-continuing pill. That's right, even a person's lifespan could be extended. This was fighting with nature and the heavens for life. This was simply the way of immortals. So it turned out that the way of the apricot forest that he had been researching really had such a miraculous effect. In the past, his thoughts had been restricted too much. He looked at Tian Chanzi with a burning gaze. This person's knowledge was countless times greater than his, and he was afraid that there were many things that he had never heard of or even dared to think about. Although Tian Chanzi did not explain anything to him in detail, just these few short words were enough to enlighten him. Everything that he had researched for more than half of his life seemed to have become pale and powerless. He used to think that he was very powerful, but now he realized that he was actually a toddler. He bowed deeply to Tian Chanzi, and said from the bottom of his heart with a trembling voice, "Thank you for your guidance, senior." The others were already stunned. This was not any less shocking than when Tian Chanzi defeated Yan Padian just now. This had broken their imaginations. Many people wished that they could invite Tian Chanzi home. With such a genius doctor around, they and their families would definitely live to 100 years old. After all, he was already very old, and sometimes, he felt that he was powerless, and was extremely reluctant to part with this world. If he could live for a few more years, then he would be willing to pay any price. Tian Chanzi ignored the king of medicine's respect and walked straight to Tang Zheng, and asked kindly, "Are you satisfied?" "Not bad," Tang Zheng said lightly. Tian Chanzi laughed involuntarily, "You brat, your requirements are really high. Little girl Yi, long time no see." "Senior." Yi Dingdang bowed to Tian Chanzi. I'm very happy to see Senior again. Senior is still as elegant as ever. Ha, you know how to talk. I'll give you some pointers on the Jade Maiden Heart Sutra later. You've already reached the threshold of the post-celestial realm. Tian Chanzi said casually. Yi Dingdang cheered, and said, Thank you, Senior. Her Jade Maiden Heart Sutra had indeed reached the threshold, but she was still a bit away from crossing it. If she had Tian Chanzi's guidance, wouldn't she be able to step into the threshold of the post-celestial realm in a minute? Moreover, this set of Jade Maiden Heart Sutra was definitely obtained by Tang Zheng from this senior. His understanding of the Jade Maiden Heart Sutra would definitely surpass hers by countless times. When the others heard this, they were so envious of Yi Dingdang. With such an expert guiding her, it was simply unimaginable. Many people looked at Tang Zheng, and thought to themselves, Yi Tianlei really raised a good daughter. If she could capture this brat Tang Zheng, why not go home and tell his daughter to capture Tang Zheng? Yi Tianlei and Feng Xinyang looked at each other, unable to hide their joy. Only the Song family members had gloomy expressions, especially Song Yu, who had already clenched her teeth, as if she wanted to grind them to pieces. Let's go, the matter here has already come to an end. Tian Chanzi said as he patted Tang Zheng's shoulder. Tang Zheng nodded, but did not let go of Yi Dingdang's hand. This was because the pure yang energy in his body had not completely calmed down. Tian Chanzi chuckled. Of course he knew about Tang Zheng's situation, and thought to himself, Brat, I told you to make a move on this girl a long time ago, and now you're finally enlightened. Now that Fang Shishir has gone abroad, if you don't take this girl down, let's see where you can find pure yin energy. Yi Tianlei and Feng Xinyang immediately bid farewell to Yen Patian, and then hurriedly left the mountain with Tang Zheng and the others. Yen Patian turned around and went to another wooden building, while the other guests also took their leave. This time, the birthday banquet ended on a bad note, and no one was in the mood to continue. What happened today was too shocking, and they had to tell the others about it as soon as possible. Tang Zheng was an ominous star that could not be provoked. The bodies of Chu Mingxian and Chu Xiaohui, who had completely fainted, were properly settled down by the Yen family. Then, the Yen family gathered together. Yen Patian sat on the chair, and before he could even speak to his family, he suddenly spat out a mouthful of blood. The others turned pale with fright. What's wrong? Yen Potion's expression was dispirited. He waved his hand and said, I won't die yet. That person just now was really too powerful, so powerful that it exceeded my imagination. I had been holding back my blood just now, otherwise, if I vomited blood in front of so many people, wouldn't I have lost a lot of face? The King of Medicine had an extremely good relationship with the Yen family, and was also in the room. He recovered from his shock and immediately checked Yen Potion's pulse, and said, Elder Yen, you are fine, I will prescribe you a few medicines to recuperate, and you will be fine. Yen Patian nodded his head in thanks. Thank you, King of Medicine. Although I was not seriously injured this time, if I were to continue fighting, I would definitely not be injured like this. Father, could it be that even with me, we are still not his match? Yen Qishan asked, unwilling to give up. In all these years, he had never seen his father admit defeat like this. Yen Luyun also looked at his grandfather with a burning gaze. His grandfather had always been his idol, and he was determined to become someone like his grandfather. He never thought that he would actually encounter a Waterloo in front of a mysterious expert today. Yen Patian squeezed out a smile, and said, even with you, it's impossible to win against this kind of expert with numbers. I am completely unable to guess how high his cultivation is. Father, he did not use his full strength in his battle with you today. His two-sword techniques are obviously incomplete, which means that there are still a few more moves left. Yen Qingyi, who had been silent the entire time, spoke up. Ever since Tian Chanzi appeared, she had been observing him without saying a word. However, her words revealed her level. Although she did not know martial arts, she was too smart. Her intelligence was close to that of a demon, and she was able to see through the clues with a single glance. Even Yan Qishan was inferior to her in this aspect. Yan Qishan said in surprise, "Qingyi, does he really have a follow-up sword move?" Yan Qingyi firmly nodded her head, and Yan Padian also agreed, "Indeed, when I fought with him, I felt it the most. Just those 2 moves alone were enough to break my dragon form technique, and if I were to use the sword moves later on, I'm afraid that I would really die under his sword. You must know that even the sword god, who has been obsessed with the way of the sword for his entire life, is inferior to him in sword techniques. This person is so powerful that it's beyond common sense. It's as if he's not from this world." Yan Luyun sighed. Yan Padian laughed, "He is powerful, but it can't be said that he doesn't look like someone from this world. There are many experts in this world, Lu Yun, don't look at how powerful our Yan family is in the secular world, but outside of this mortal world, there is a group of experts that are even more unreachable. They are the true experts of this world, but they have other goals and do not wander around this mortal world, so most people do not know of their existence." Yan Luyun heard this, and his eyes widened in surprise. This was the first time he had heard of this matter. "Qingyi, this time, you have to represent the Yan family and make a trip to the Li Palace." Suddenly, Yan Padian said with a serious expression. Chapter 305. Li Palace? Yan Qingyi was shocked. Is there a need to go to the Li Palace? Yan Qishan was also bewildered. The relationship between the Yan family and the Li Palace was not shallow, and the reason why the Yan family was able to grow up all these years was because of the Li Palace. However, the Yan family would not easily use this relationship. Yes, for such a powerful expert to appear in this world, the Li Palace will know about it soon. Moreover, the Li Palace is the most well-informed place in the world. I also want to know if the Li Palace knows about this person's origins. Yan Padian had his own plans. The others suddenly realized that the most important thing now was to find out about this person who they had never heard of before. Yan Padian glanced at the King of Medicine again, and said, "King of Medicine, for Yi Xuanji to be able to recover from his injuries and even break through to the Grandmaster realm, I'm afraid it has something to do with this person, right?" The King of Medicine was slightly shocked. Yan Padian was really smart, his thoughts were also unconstrained, and he actually guessed this point. "Yes, but I promised them that I wouldn't spread the details, so I'm sorry, I can't go into detail," the King of Medicine said. The people of the Yan family sighed with emotion. Originally, the Ye family was about to collapse, but they didn't expect that because of this person's appearance, there would be such a huge change. The Ye family was truly fortunate. "Father, what about the Chu family?" Yan Qishan asked worriedly. This time, one of the Chu family members had died and the other was injured. It could be said that they had lost a lot of face. Although the Yan family was more powerful than the Chu family, they still had to think about how to explain it. Yan Padian muttered to himself for a moment, "Qishan, go back with the Yan family and explain to the Yan family that if they blame us, we can't do anything about it. Furthermore, you must warn them that Tangzhen cannot be easily touched, otherwise, the capital will really become chaotic." Yan Qishan nodded. Dan Page knew that the task of convincing the Yan family would not be easy, but no matter what, she had to ensure this. "King of Medicine, I'll have to trouble you to make a trip to the Yan family this time. I'll leave Ming Xian's injuries to you," Yan Padian said. The King of Medicine nodded nonchalantly. While the Yan family was arranging the follow-up actions, the incident at the birthday banquet had already spread to the ears of many people in Beijing. Immediately, the name of Tang Zheng and the image of Tian Chanzi were deeply imprinted in the hearts of some people. But at that time, he was sitting in the Ye family's luxury car, leaving Longxiang Mountain and returning to the city. "Senior, can I invite you to the Ye family for a chat? When you saved our family during the ordinary balance, we have yet to properly thank you," Yi Tianlei said in an incomparably solemn tone. Tian Chanzi chuckled, "I don't want to go to the Ye family, otherwise that old man of yours will be nagging again, wishing that he could study me thoroughly." You big families are like this, very boring. Yi Tianlei was a little embarrassed, and said resentfully, then that's really a pity. I wonder where Senior is staying in the capital. I also want to pay you a visit. Tian Chanzi waved his hand and said, forget it, I don't like to be disturbed. During this period of time, I still have to catch up with my disciple. Yi Tianlei helplessly smiled bitterly. My good disciple, you see, for you, Master came to the capital from thousands of miles away, because I was afraid that you would be bullied by these so-called big families. Master cares about you enough. Tian Chanzi said as if he was boasting. Tang Zheng could not help but roll his eyes. You keep calling me disciple, wanting to take advantage of me. Now that there are other people, I cannot refute you. However, he was very surprised as to why he came to the capital. Wasn't he looking for traces of cultivators? Why did he come to the capital? Could it be that there were cultivators in the capital? Okay, stop the car, I will get off first. Remember to find me at this place at night, my good disciple. Tian Chanzi whispered the name of a place in Tang Zheng's ear, and then brought Huang Xiang out of the car. Little girl Yi, if you cultivate your Jade Women's Heart Sutra according to the method I just taught you, I guarantee that in these few days you will advance by leaps and bounds. Tian Chanzi turned his head and looked at Yi Dingdang. Yi Dingdang excitedly nodded her head, yes, thank you Senior for your guidance. Tian Chanzi waved his hand, and in the afterglow of the setting sun, his figure quickly disappeared. Yi Tianlei let out a long sigh. I really did not think that things would turn out like this. Tang Zheng said apologetically, I'm sorry, Uncle Yi, Aunt Feng, because of me, the Ye family was dragged into this. This time, who knows how the Chu family will retaliate. Feng Xinyang frowned and said, Heng, they dare. This time, the Chu family suffered a big setback. Moreover, the Yen family chose to acquiesce, so the Chu family will definitely not dare to cause trouble. Without the support of the Yen family, if the Chu family wants to jump around, they will only be asking to be humiliated. Yi Tianlei also nodded his head in agreement. This time, you did not do anything to the Ye family. Instead, you brought benefits to the Ye family. Right now, everyone knows that the Ye family has such a powerful son-in-law like you, so it can be said that the Ye family took advantage of you. Feng Xinyang beamed with joy. This is called our family having a good daughter like Dingdang. Other people do not have a good daughter like Dingdang. Yi Dingdang's face was full of shyness as she said, Mom, what are you saying? AI, what I said is the truth. Don't dislike hearing it. Right now, Tang Zheng is very popular. You have to keep a close eye on him. Otherwise, who knows how many girls from other families will recommend themselves to sleep with him. Feng Xinyang earnestly warned. Tang Zheng was greatly embarrassed and coughed awkwardly. Fortunately, at this time, it was the Ye family's turn. Otherwise, it would be as if he was sitting on pins and needles. As soon as he returned to the Ye family, from afar, a small white shadow jumped onto Tang Zheng's body. Today, Xiaobai was not brought to the banquet. Otherwise, he might spit fire on the spot. That would be explosive. Yi Tianlei went to see Yi Xuanji and reported the matter of the birthday banquet. Yi Xuanji was shocked on the spot. He always knew that Tang Zheng had a powerful master, but he did not expect that he would appear in front of everyone today and even cause such a big storm. Father, this time we borrowed the east wind of Tang Zheng's influence. Naturally, our position in the hearts of others will rise by a level. However, it can be said that we have also formed a death grudge with the Chu family. Yi Tianlei said. Yi Xuanji snorted disdainfully and said, so what if we have a death grudge? When I had no hope of breaking through to the master level, the Chu family had always been eyeing our Ye family covetously. They couldn't wait to divide up our Ye family. This time, the Chu family suffered a big setback. It can be considered letting them off easy. Hearing this, Yi Tianlei breathed a sigh of relief. This means that the Ye family will unswervingly stand behind Tang Zheng. If the Chu family really dared to act out of desperation, the Ye family will not sit idly by. As if reading his son's mind, Yi Xuanji comforted him, "Don't worry, the Chu family will only swallow this anger. They will not rashly find trouble with Tang Zheng. In the capital, as long as they are smart, they will not find trouble with Tang Zheng. His master caused such a ruckus, other people will not bump into the muzzle of the gun and seek their own death." Yi Tianlei nodded in agreement. "If possible, I really want to meet this mysterious master," Yi Xuanji said with longing. Yi Tianlei sighed helplessly. "I invited him, but he did not agree." "Fine, we will meet again if fate wills it." Tang Zheng did not stay in the Ye family for long. After dinner, he took Xiao Bai and went straight to the meeting place with Tian Chanzi. In the night, a figure shuttled back and forth in the city without attracting anyone's attention. He was going to the center of the city, the Imperial City. This is a huge palace complex, left behind by the previous dynasty. During the day, there are many tourists, and it is a famous tourist attraction. Under the curtain of night, the Imperial City was like a resting ferocious beast, silently watching this ancient city. This historical Imperial City is extremely incompatible with the surrounding high-rise buildings, but it was still preserved and became a historical site. Tang Zheng jumped over the wall and lightly landed in the Imperial City. In ancient times, this was the center of power, representing supreme power. Huang Xiang quietly stood in the darkness, blending into the night. Ordinary people would not be able to detect him, but Tang Zheng saw him. Huang Xiang led the way in front, and a moment later, the two came to the depths of the palace complex. This is the center of the Imperial City. A majestic palace quietly stood in front of them, and a majestic atmosphere spontaneously arose. Tian Chanzi was standing in the middle of the palace, looking at the throne that represents power, the dragon throne. Hearing Tang Zheng's footsteps, Tian Chanzi did not move his eyes away. Tang Zheng stood next to him, also staring at the dragon throne. For a long time he did not see anything. "Boy, this is the throne that many people dream of, you don't want to sit on it and experience what it is like?" Tian Chanzi asked. Tang Zheng curled his lips and said, "Experience my ass, now is not the ancient times, the dragon throne does not mean anything." Whoosh! As soon as his voice fell, Xiao Bai jumped out of Tang Zheng's arms and jumped on the dragon throne, jumping on it, very happy. Tian Chanzi's eyes shrank, and asked in surprise, "What is this?" "My pet." "Pet? Who are you kidding, this is a demon beast." Tian Chanzi's expression changed slightly. "Demon beast?" "Of course, and this demon beast is very powerful, who knows how many times stronger than you. I am very curious, where did you get it, and how did it become your pet?" "I think you are more like its pet." Tang Zheng rolled his eyes, "I am a human, how can I be a pet?" As for Xiao Bai's origin, I won't talk about it first. What do you think its origin is? There are so many demon beasts in this world. Do you really think that I don't know everything? How would I know its origin? However, I can see that it is still in its infancy. When it truly grows up, it will be very powerful. Hey, I haven't seen such a fascinating demon beast for many years. Brat, did you have some kind of fortuitous encounter? Tell me the truth. Tian Chanzi looked at him with interest. Tang Zheng did not hide anything and told him about the witch clan. Chapter 306. Tang Zheng did not expect Tian Chanzi to be so surprised by the witch clan. This meant that the witch clan was far more extraordinary than he had imagined, and immediately asked, "Do you know why the witch clan is trapped in the 10,000 huge mountains?" 1,000 years ago, the 10,000 huge mountains was a dangerous place, and ordinary cultivators rarely set foot in it. As for the prehistoric heavenly tomb you mentioned, I have never heard of it, and I do not know if the witch clan is suitable to be trapped there. Tian Chanzi shook his head. Tang Zheng was disappointed. He originally thought that Tian Chanzi would be able to answer his questions. However, you brat actually had such a fortuitous encounter, you are truly envious of others. Looks like after I leave the capital this time, I will have to go to the prehistoric heavenly tomb. Tian Chanzi was moved. But you must be careful. It's very strange inside. Hee, of course I know. This time, I came to the capital to save your life. Are you very grateful to me? Tian Chanzi raised his eyebrows and asked with a wink. Please, I don't know you. You definitely didn't come to the capital specifically because of me. Tell me the truth, why did you come to the capital? Tang Zheng was not fooled. You're getting smarter and smarter. Of course. Furthermore, you keep calling me a good disciple. You must have had a good time this time. Tang Zheng immediately pierced through his heart. Tian Chanzi laughed complacently. Of course, it's not like you don't know, not being able to be your master is my greatest regret. Come on, tell me why you came to the capital this time. Also, didn't you go to find the whereabouts of the cultivators? What clues do you have? Tian Chanzi coughed and said, after a few months of hard work, although I did not see any other cultivators, I finally found a breakthrough. From this breakthrough, we can find out what exactly happened in the past 1,000 years, and why did the cultivators disappear. Oh, could it be that the breakthrough is in the capital? Tang Zheng was suddenly enlightened. Tian Chanzi nodded approvingly and pointed at his feet. The breakthrough is here. Tang Zheng looked down and saw nothing but the floor, so he asked, don't play games with me. What's so special about this place? Hee, do you know what this imperial city was built for? The imperial city is naturally built to be the emperor's palace. Then why did you build a new one here when there was an imperial city in the south? Don't bully me because I didn't study history. The emperor is the guardian of the country. Everyone knows that, Tang Zheng said. Tian Chanzi laughed strangely, that's why I said you're a genius in cultivation, but you're still too inexperienced in some aspects. The emperor guarding the country's gate is just an excuse. The important thing is the thing under your feet. Stop trying to be mysterious. I'm standing on the floor. There's nothing else. Alright, then I'll answer your question. Let me tell you, I spent a lot of effort to get this information. There's a dragon beneath our feet. Dragon? Tang Zheng was shocked. Yes, a true dragon. It's the dragon in your legends. Even 1,000 years ago, dragons were extremely rare. Dragons are also a member of the demon race, but they're very noble and rare. They're an existence that other demon races can't compare to. Tian Chanzi said. Tang Zheng was flabbergasted. He stared at the floor in a daze. There's a dragon below. The legendary divine dragon. Zhi. Xiao Bai jumped back and slanted its little mouth disapprovingly. It seemed to be protesting Tian Chanzi's words. Tian Chanzi seemed to understand and said, looking at its disapproving appearance, it doesn't seem to care much about dragons. I'm really curious about its origins. Hey, let's not talk about Xiao Bai first. You said there's really a dragon beneath our feet? Of course, I don't know what method the emperor used to capture this dragon, but he built this imperial city to imprison this dragon. He used this imperial city to form a huge array to imprison the dragon. That's not right. Didn't the emperors of ancient times call themselves the true dragon son of heaven? If they saw a dragon, wouldn't they worship it? How could they imprison it? Tang Zheng was confused. This information was too much. Haha, true dragon son of heaven. That's just nonsense to deceive children. However, the emperor imprisoned the dragon for a reason. That was to absorb the dragon chi. This way, he could prolong his life. That emperor sat on the dragon throne all day long and would continuously absorb the dragon chi. This is more effective than any other elixir. Tian Chanzi said. Moreover, as the emperor of a country, his power is the greatest. There's nothing or anyone that can stop him. Don't you think that imprisoning a dragon would give him a sense of accomplishment? This is simply an emperor throughout the ages. Other emperors simply can't do it. Tang Zheng was really speechless. After a long time, he said, even if we have a dragon beneath our feet, what does that have to do with looking for cultivators? This dragon has been here for hundreds of years. I believe that it can answer why cultivators have disappeared. Tian Chanzi said solemnly. Then let's hurry up and find it. Do you want us to pry open the floor? Tang Zheng asked. Tian Chanzi curled his lips and said with disdain, if prying open the floor was useful, others would have already discovered this dragon. I really don't have anything in common with you. Tang Zheng was despised. He scratched his head in embarrassment. This imperial city is a huge array. Of course, we have to find the key point of this array. Only then can we see the dragon. Then hurry up and find it. Don't waste time. Otherwise, when the sun rises and the tourists come, you won't have a chance. Get out of the way, brat. Don't get in the way. Heaven Monk started to wander around the palace, and a mysterious power gradually spread out. Little White cried out in surprise, and opened its round eyes wide. Open! Suddenly, Tian Chanzi shouted. A beam of light soared into the sky and wrapped around them. Tang Zheng was in a trance. The scene in front of his eyes suddenly changed. Hey, where are we? Tang Zheng looked at everything in front of him curiously. This was a tunnel with stone walls on both sides. We have arrived at the underground of the palace. Tian Chanzi explained from the side. This was a transfer array. It brought them from the palace to the underground. Is the dragon here? Of course. Follow me. Let me tell you, the dragon is not like other monsters. Your ability is not enough. Be careful not to be eaten by it. Hee, with you here, how can I be eaten? Zhi. Xiao Bai cried out and waved its claws. It seemed to say, don't be afraid, I will protect you. Tang Zheng didn't know whether to laugh or cry. This tunnel was very long. Gradually, an invisible pressure appeared spontaneously. It was so oppressive that it made it difficult for them to breathe. Tang Zheng hurriedly circulated his energy to dissolve this pressure. If an ordinary person was here, they would have been pressed to the ground by this pressure, unable to move. What's going on? Tang Zheng asked curiously. Dragon aura. The emperor will have this kind of majesty when he absorbs the dragon aura. Tian Chanzi explained, the stronger the dragon aura, the more the subjects will naturally submit. Finally, they reached the end of the tunnel. The scene suddenly opened up. This was a domed hall. The dome was inlaid with fist-sized luminous pearls, so the hall was as bright as day. However, the luminous pearls were not enough to attract Tang Zheng. At this moment, he was dumbfounded as he looked at the huge monster in the center of the hall, a dragon. This really was a dragon. Its whole body was covered in golden scales. It was not much different from the legendary dragon. It was lying on the ground, and its huge body occupied more than half of the hall. It closed its eyes as if it was sleeping. When Tang Zheng and the others finally walked into the hall, its eyes suddenly opened, revealing eyes that were as big as basketballs. Golden light flickered, and an indescribable dragon might covered the sky and covered the earth. Tang Zheng subconsciously retreated half a step before stabilizing his body. This was the power of a dragon. Tang Zheng felt as if he had been hit by a heavy blow with just a glance. Tang Zheng took a deep breath to suppress the shock in his heart. Tian Chanzi also couldn't hide his shock. He muttered to himself, I finally see a dragon. Ha! It's a 5-clawed golden dragon. Tian Chanzi was not afraid. Instead, he was very excited because the answer was about to be revealed. Suddenly, a gust of wind blew, and the dragon gradually stood upright, looking down at them with an unparalleled might. Don't worry, there is a formation to suppress it. It can't threaten us, Tian Chanzi said quickly. Sure enough, there was a crisp sound of ding-dang. The dragon's 5 claws were covered with dark chains. When it raised its body, ding-dang sounds could be heard. Squeak! Xiao Bai suddenly jumped out of Tang Zheng's arms. Xiao Bai, don't go. Tang Zheng was shocked. He hurriedly wanted to hold Xiao Bai, but was stopped by Tian Chanzi. Aren't you afraid of death? If you go near it, you will die. Although it is suppressed by the formation now, it is more than enough to deal with you. But what about Xiao Bai? I can't let anything happen to it. Xiao Bai, come back quickly. Tang Zheng couldn't break free from Tian Chanzi's hands, so he anxiously tried to persuade him. Xiao Bai didn't seem to hear him at all. With a whoosh, it rushed to the front of the golden dragon. In front of this behemoth, it was like an insignificant, almost negligible little thing. Little White stood in front of the golden dragon and raised its head high. It stared at the golden dragon without blinking. It pouted its mouth as if it was about to spit fire, and its mouth made a squeaking sound. Spitting fire at the golden dragon, did it want to roast it and eat it? Tang Zheng didn't know whether to laugh or cry. This little troublemaker. Tian Chanzi, don't pull me, I'm going to save it. Xiao Bai had saved Tang Zheng several times. Tang Zheng couldn't just watch it become a meal on the golden dragon's plate. This guy had been locked up for hundreds of years. He was afraid that it was going crazy from hunger. Xiao Bai was not enough to fill the gaps between its teeth. Tang Zheng used his power and broke free from Tian Chanzi. He jumped and threw himself at Xiao Bai, shouting, Xiao Bai, come back quickly. Little White, however, turned a deaf ear to it and continued to stare at the golden dragon. The golden dragon also stared at the little fellow. Their eyes met. Suddenly, the golden dragon moved, a strong gale blew, the golden dragon bent its body, and Tang Zheng was blown to the point of tilting left and right by the gale. Whoosh! Chapter 307. Seeing this, Tang Zheng shouted, no. However, he was unable to stand steadily because of the strong wind. He had no choice but to help Xiao Bai. Xiao Bai did not retreat at all. Instead, he stood up straight and stared straight at the golden dragon. Roar! With a dragon's roar, Xiao Bai's hair danced in the wind. However, Xiao Bai still did not retreat. He also made a squeaking sound, as if he was responding to the golden dragon. The dragon's head finally stopped in front of Xiao Bai. The dragon's whiskers were almost touching Xiao Bai. Xiao Bai stretched out his claws and stroked the dragon's whiskers. Seeing this, Tang Zheng's heart trembled. This little guy is too bold. However, why didn't the golden dragon eat Xiao Bai in one bite? What are you? Suddenly, the golden dragon spoke. Ah! It can speak. Tang Zheng was shocked, but he immediately remembered that the golden dragon was a very powerful demon. It was not strange that it could speak. Squeak squeak. Xiao Bai made a sound as if he was answering the golden dragon's question. However, the golden dragon's eyes were filled with doubt. You can't speak. Obviously, the golden dragon did not understand Xiao Bai's answer. Seeing this, Tang Zheng's heart almost jumped out of his throat. However, he quietly calmed down. Who are you? The golden dragon turned to Tang Zheng and asked. Whoosh! The strong wind disappeared. Tang Zheng landed steadily on the ground. It was a close call but not dangerous. We have a question for you. Tian Chanzi walked up and asked in a deep voice. Oh, a question? Ha, interesting. I see humans again after hundreds of years, but they are here to ask me questions. The golden dragon laughed, but there was a hint of vicissitudes in its voice. Human, I was imprisoned by you back then. Do you think I will still answer your questions? The golden dragon's voice paused. There was a hint of anger in it as it asked. You have been locked up here for hundreds of years, and no one has come to see you. Today, we are here to see you. Don't you think you should thank us? Tian Chanzi said. Ha, thank you. I can't wait to eat you all, the golden dragon said in disgust. Creak creak. Xiao Bai jumped up and down, as if saying that it was not allowed to eat people. The golden dragon looked at Xiao Bai suspiciously and asked, What exactly is this little thing? Tang Zheng asked in surprise, don't you know where it came from? After all, the golden dragon was from the Yao clan. Even he did not know about Xiao Bai's origins. Just how mysterious was this little guy's origin? The golden dragon said in surprise, you don't know yourself. We still want to consult you. The golden dragon stared at Tang Zheng with its large eyes, confirming that he was not lying, and said, strange, this little guy is clearly from the Yao clan, but I can't see through its origins. However, the aura on its body is very special, it actually has the aura of the Great Desolate Era, and is not afraid of my dragon's might. The aura of the Great Desolate Era? Tang Zheng's head moved, and he quickly asked, do you know about the prehistoric heavenly tomb? Prehistoric heavenly tomb? You found the prehistoric heavenly tomb? The golden dragon shook its body, and the black chains ding-dang rang out, where is the prehistoric heavenly tomb? Hearing that the other party knew about the prehistoric heavenly tomb, both Tang Zheng and Tian Chanzi were shocked. Even Tian Chanzi did not know the origins of the prehistoric heavenly tomb, he never thought that this golden dragon would actually know. Tell me what the prehistoric heavenly tomb is first. Tang Zheng stabilized his mind and asked without batting an eyelid. You actually dare to bargain with the noble dragon race? The golden dragon flew into a rage, as if it was about to flip out. This is called an exchange of information. It's very fair. If you don't want to say it, then forget it. Tang Zheng said coldly. Tian Chanzi also admired Tang Zheng's attitude. This golden dragon seemed to be a little difficult to deal with. You've been locked up here for hundreds of years, but you still haven't changed your temper. Tell us, what kind of place is the prehistoric heavenly tomb? Tian Chanzi's expression was also somewhat stern. The golden dragon did not appreciate it at all, and said arrogantly, you want to get information from me, dream on. I won't tell you despicable humans. Tang Zheng and Tian Chanzi looked at each other, feeling a little helpless. Originally, they wanted to ask about the disappearance of the cultivators, but it seemed like there was no hope, this golden dragon's mouth was really hard. Tang Zheng had an idea, his eyes lit up, and said loudly, you made yourself sound so high and mighty, but you were still imprisoned here for a few hundred years, don't flatter yourself. You dare to insult me? I'm going to eat you. The golden dragon flew into a rage, and was about to flip out again, but Xiao Bai suddenly jumped onto Tang Zheng's shoulder, and stared at it like a tiger eyeing its prey. The golden dragon paused and looked at Xiao Bai fearfully. Tang Zheng and Tian Chanzi heaved a sigh of relief. Obviously, this golden dragon was extremely afraid of Xiao Bai, so their safety was guaranteed. Tian Chanzi sighed in annoyance. Seeing that he was about to get close to the truth, he did not expect this stupid dragon to not cooperate. Seeing that the two of them were at their wits' end, the golden dragon raised its head high, feeling very pleased with itself. Let's go. No one will know about it for another few hundred years until it dies of old age here. Tang Zheng rolled his eyes, a plan came to his mind, and he turned to leave. Kid, Tian Chanzi wanted to dissuade him, but when he saw Tang Zheng giving him a meaningful glance, he understood and said, yes, let this stupid dragon die here. The two of them turned around and left, completely ignoring the golden dragon's astonishment. It opened its eyes wide in disbelief and roared, how can you leave just like that? You're not allowed to leave. But how could it stop someone else? Seeing that the other party was about to enter the tunnel, the golden dragon compromised and immediately shouted, don't go, I'll tell you. Tang Zheng and Tian Chanzi looked at each other. This was indeed a stupid dragon, a little bit of provocation was enough to pry open its mouth. Seeing the two of them stop in their tracks, the golden dragon hurriedly said, prehistoric heavenly tomb is a tomb after the Great War in the ancient era. There are countless legendary great figures buried inside, but this tomb is extremely mystical. It is said that there are many divine arts and secret manuals buried in this prehistoric heavenly tomb, as well as divine weapons. These were all the belongings of the great figures back then, and were buried here with them. Outsiders did not know where the prehistoric heavenly tomb was, and after that, countless people went to search for it, but many of them returned empty-handed. However, there were also people who successfully returned from the prehistoric heavenly tomb, and all of them became great figures who ruled over a region. However, these people who returned were also secretive about where the prehistoric heavenly tomb was. Tang Zheng and Tian Chanzi both revealed expressions of joy at the same time. In that case, the prehistoric heavenly tomb was a huge treasure trove. Tang Zheng never thought that he would accidentally discover a treasure trove that no one else would be able to discover. But speaking of which, the prehistoric heavenly tomb was not that hard to find, even Li Xiaotian and that group of Japanese were able to find it. Could it be that there was something fishy about it? I've told you everything I know. The golden dragon said resentfully. Humans were cunning, they actually forced him to obediently submit. Then do you know why the cultivators of this world disappeared? Tian Chanzi asked again. The golden dragon's eyes lit up, and laughed. Actually, you guys wanted to ask this question from the beginning. It seemed like it wasn't that stupid. Yes, you've been locked up here for hundreds of years, you must know, right? Tian Chanzi said excitedly. The golden dragon raised its head and said arrogantly, of course I know. I've been curious since you came in. Isn't there no cultivator in this world anymore? Where did you two come from? Hurry up and speak, stop dawdling. If you want to know the answer, you have to agree to one of my conditions. The golden dragon said resolutely. The two of them did not expect the golden dragon to actually raise a condition. Tian Chanzi asked in a deep voice, what condition? Let me out, I don't want to continue being locked up here. The golden dragon said angrily. The formation that imprisoned you is very powerful. I have no way to completely break the formation. Tian Chanzi said. You must have a way. This formation is called the inescapable snare tactical method. With this imperial city as the foundation, as long as you destroy the entire imperial city, I can regain my freedom. The golden dragon said crazily. Destroy the entire imperial city? Tang Zheng was flabbergasted. Was there a mistake? This was the center of the country. Destroying the entire imperial city was simply a matter that would shock the world. Not to mention that Tang Zheng did not have the ability to do so now. Even if he did, he would definitely be treated as the public enemy of this country. He did not want to walk down this path. How is it? It's simple, right? With your cultivation, it won't be too difficult to destroy this imperial city. The golden dragon said excitedly. Heaven Monk was a little moved. He was originally a person from the cultivation world, and was incompatible with this world. It was just destroying an imperial city, so what was the big deal? Tang Zheng guessed his thoughts and quickly advised, Tian Chanzi, don't listen to its instigation. If we do this, then there will be no place for you and me in this world. Tian Chanzi said disapprovingly, as long as we know the secret of the disappearance of the cultivators, this is nothing. Tang Zheng argued, no matter what you say, I will not agree. Seeing Tang Zheng so determined, Tian Chanzi curled his lips and said, you are now a cultivator. What are you afraid of? It is true that I am a cultivator, but the people around me, my family and friends are not cultivators. If I really do this, then even if the entire country investigates this matter, I am afraid that I will not be able to stay out of it. At that time, I will implicate these people. Tang Zheng said with a resolute expression. If you don't agree, then don't think about knowing this secret. Humph, I see that you are locked up underground. You may not know this secret. Tang Zheng said in disbelief. The golden dragon anxiously refuted, nonsense, how could I not know? Every once in a while, my primordial spirit will leave my body and go to the outside world to take a look. Although I can't do anything, I know what is happening in the outside world. Tang Zheng's heart moved. So there was such a thing. Seeing Tian Chanzi gently nod, Tang Zheng knew that this dragon was not lying. He was afraid that he really knew the secret of the disappearance of the cultivators. Looking at the two people's faces, the golden dragon proudly said, "Now you know how powerful I am. If you want to know the secret, you must destroy the imperial city and let me out. Otherwise, don't think about getting this secret from me." Chapter 308. Tang Zheng and Tian Chanzi stared at each other. This dragon was not so easy to fool. Its attitude towards this matter was so firm that there was no room for negotiation. What should they do? Could it be that they should give up halfway? Boy, it's just an imperial city. It's not a big deal. Besides, it has no practical use now. Tian Chanzi advised. Tang Zheng waved his hand. Don't say any more. No. You're still so stubborn. I really don't know what to do with you. Tian Chanzi helplessly rolled his eyes. Tang Zheng stared straight at the golden dragon and said, "I've already told you clearly that it's impossible to destroy the imperial city. Do you have any other way to break the inescapable snare formation?" Other ways? Humph, unless your cultivation level reaches the Huashan stage, there's no way to quietly break the inescapable snare formation. The golden dragon solemnly vowed. It was a little surprised by this human's persistence and determination. Huashan stage. Tang Zheng and Tian Chanzi were quite surprised that such a high cultivation level was required. Tian Chanzi whispered, "Boy, then it's impossible for us to break the formation in a short time." Tang Zheng certainly knew that Tian Chanzi was also in the gold core stage. There was still a Yuanying stage between the Huashan stage and the Huashan stage, so 3 plus or minus 3 couldn't meet the requirements at all. But we have to know this secret today. This matter is of great importance. Tang Zheng nodded to show that he understood. I can promise you one thing. If you tell us this secret, I'll definitely get you out. If you don't tell us, then you'll be locked up here until you die. Humph, if you don't get me out, I won't tell you. I said I'll get you out, so I'll definitely save you. At most, you'll be locked up for a few more years, or more than 10 years. Otherwise, you'll die of old age here. Don't you know how to settle this account? Tang Zheng angrily asked. A few years, more than 10 years. Ha, you think too highly of yourself. You're only at the 4th grade of the foundation establishment stage. You're dreaming if you think you can reach the soul formation stage so quickly, the golden dragon said disdainfully. Even if I can't achieve it, can't he? Humph, don't think I don't know that the spiritual chi of heaven and earth outside is so thin that it can't be compared to the past at all. Even if he wants to reach the divine transformation realm in 10 years, you can ask him yourself if it's possible. Tang Zheng looked at Tian Chanzi in surprise. Aren't you already at the gold core stage? Wasn't she only one Yuanying stage away from the soul formation stage? Why can't it be done? Heaven Monk laughed bitterly. Brat, don't use your own abnormal cultivation method on others. The further you go, the harder it is to cultivate. It is possible that you will not be able to break through even after spending more than 10 years. Tang Zheng was speechless. It turned out that he had been too optimistic. How is it? Now you know I'm telling the truth, right? It's not that I'm looking down on you, but if you want to reach the divine transformation stage in such a short period of time, unless a miracle happens. The golden dragon said complacently. Tang Zheng clenched his teeth as his thoughts raced. In the end, he suddenly raised his head and looked at the golden dragon with determination. I believe that I can do it. At most, in 20 years, I will definitely reach the divine transformation stage and save you. Tang Zheng was not being arrogant, but he was confident that his 9 young holy bodies' cultivation speed was several times faster than others. Moreover, wasn't there still the prehistoric heavenly tomb? At most, he could just go inside and look for the secret manuals left behind by the great figures of the ancient era. The golden dragon clearly did not believe Tang Zheng's words and said, "Despicable human, you want to lie to me again? I won't fall for it." Tian Chanzi's heart stirred as he said, he has the 9-yang holy body and is a cultivation genius that only appears once in 1,000 years. I can't do it, but maybe he can. 9-yang holy body. The golden dragon curiously looked at Tang Zheng. Even the 9-yang holy body is useless. It's also impossible. In this world, the only ones who can do this are the legendary celestials. Celestials? This was the first time Tang Zheng and Tian Chanzi had heard of this term. What is a celestial? A celestial is a cultivation genius that appears once in 10,000 years. Furthermore, a celestial carries a huge secret that is much more powerful than your 9-yang holy body. This is the first time I've heard of this term. It's really strange. Tian Chanzi muttered to himself. Of course you don't know. This is the secret of the dragon race. How could a normal person know? The golden dragon arrogantly said. If a celestial can do it, why can't I? Tang Zheng was unconvinced. Human, it's not that I'm looking down on you, but you really are impossible. Tang Zheng had a stomach full of anger. Were celestials this powerful? Creak creak. Suddenly, Xiao Bai cried out. He jumped off Tang Zheng's shoulder and pulled on Tang Zheng's pant leg, doing his utmost to pull him toward the golden dragon. Hey, Xiao Bai, what are you doing? Xiao Bai was very strong. Tang Zheng was dragged toward the golden dragon. Creak creak. Xiao Bai cried out, but he didn't stop. Instead, he put in even more effort. In the blink of an eye, he had pulled Tang Zheng under the golden dragon's huge body. Tang Zheng raised his head, and could feel the dragon might of this colossus even more directly. He actually had the urge to bow down and worship it. With Xiao Bai's protection, Tang Zheng was confident that the golden dragon wouldn't dare to harm him. However, he was very curious as to what Xiao Bai wanted to do. Xiao Bai shouted and pointed at Tang Zheng. The golden dragon was puzzled, but it understood Xiao Bai's meaning. Its dragon claw slowly reached for Tang Zheng's shoulder. Tian Chanzi turned pale with fright. He cried out in alarm, "Brat, be careful." Xiao Bai wasn't afraid at all. Instead, he used his eyes to encourage Tang Zheng. Tang Zheng's head twitched. Xiao Bai wouldn't harm him. He definitely had his reasons for doing this. Tian Chanzi, don't worry. I'll be fine. Tang Zheng took a deep breath and suppressed the urge to run away. He could only watch as the dragon claw landed on his shoulder. Whitey, on the other hand, opened its eyes wide in excitement. It jumped up and down and squeaked, looking very pleased with itself. Tian Chanzi's heart was about to jump out of his chest. Although he had lived for many years, this was the first time he had seen such a scene. He couldn't help but feel excited. Even thousands of years ago, dragons were very rare and aloof. Ordinary practitioners had no way to see a real dragon. In fact, this was also the first time Tian Chanzi had seen a real dragon. He was really shocked by the scene in front of him. Vaguely, there seemed to be some kind of indescribable expectation in his heart. He stared at Tang Zheng intently. Tang Zheng was also extremely nervous. To let the legendary dragon get so close to him, and even have physical contact with him, if it was anyone else, they would probably have the same thoughts as him. In the face of such a powerful dragon, he didn't sit down on the ground and show a timid expression. He took a deep breath and tried to appear calm. The golden dragon's eyes were originally filled with doubt. It didn't understand the deep meaning of Xiao Bai's action. But when its claw landed on Tang Zheng's shoulder, its pupils quickly dilated. Its golden eyes bloomed with dazzling golden light. The entire hall turned into a golden ocean. Tang Zheng's face turned pale with fright. What was going on? Fortunately, his body didn't have any strange feeling. Otherwise, he would have definitely fought back. The doubt in the golden dragon's eyes was completely replaced by shock. It looked at Tang Zheng and cried out in fright. How is this possible? You are actually a celestial. What, I'm a Skywalker. Tang Zheng was also shocked, and even the heaven monk exclaimed, cursing loudly, F***ck. The golden dragon had already retracted its claw. It looked at Tang Zheng in disbelief. You actually have 9 main meridians and a pure yang body. You are a celestial. Tang Zheng suddenly realized that these 2 points were the characteristics of a celestial. He couldn't help but remember Tian Chanzi once said that he wasn't a human. It seems he was a celestial. A celestial was also a human. He finally didn't have to worry about whether he was a human or not. He felt very gratified. But this celestial was so powerful from the golden dragon's mouth. He was very excited because this meant that he could reach spirit severing stage in a short 10 years. Since you know I'm a celestial, then you can believe my words, right? Tang Zheng continued to press on. The golden dragon was still in shock. It muttered to itself, no wonder this mysterious little fellow was subdued by you. So it also knows that you are a celestial. Hearing this, Xiaobai excitedly jumped up and down. In the end, it directly jumped onto Tang Zheng's shoulder. Tang Zheng patted its little head and said, so you already knew that I am a celestial. Xiaobai pretended to be serious and nodded its head. But unlike the golden dragon, Xiaobai couldn't speak. So even if it knew this secret, it couldn't tell Tang Zheng. The golden dragon's eyes gradually regained its luster. It stared straight at Tang Zheng and said, I actually saw a celestial that only appears once every 10,000 years. Moreover, it is in this world where there are no practitioners at all. This is too miraculous. Although I have been imprisoned here for hundreds of years, but to be able to see a celestial, these hundreds of years were worth it. Tang Zheng blushed with shame. He didn't expect that he would have such great charm. It was like he was a celebrity, and this golden dragon was like a fan of his. But since he met a fan, then things would be much easier. So he coughed and said, since that is the case, then you can tell me the secret of the disappearance of practitioners. Of course, but I hope that you can come and see me when you are free. I have been imprisoned here for hundreds of years without anyone to talk to me. I am about to go crazy. The golden dragon said expectantly. Tang Zheng hesitated for a moment. In any case, he was going to stay in the capital for 4 years. If he was free, it would be good to come and see him. Moreover, this place was definitely a good place to train. With a golden dragon by his side, no one would be able to hurt him when he was training. Just thinking about this made him very excited. So he nodded his head without hesitation. The golden dragon also seemed to be very happy. It said, wait a little longer, I can finally see the light of day again. Humph, those people who imprisoned me are already dead. Otherwise, I would have eaten all of them. Tang Zheng was speechless. This guy opened its mouth and said that it wanted to eat people. It really was a foodie. It seemed like he would have to teach it a lesson in the future to change this bad habit. Tian Chanzi didn't expect that things would take such a turn. He said excitedly, boy, quickly ask it to speak. Chapter 309. The golden dragon did not hide anything anymore and talked about the calamity of the divine continent more than 200 years ago. The foreign races invaded the central earth and were all vying for supremacy. At that time, the spirit chi of heaven and earth was exhausted, and the level of cultivators was not much worse than before. However, a genius called New Era appeared among the foreign races, and New Era's cultivation was shocking, reaching the 9th grade of martial emperor. There were many capable people in the central earth, but whether it was martial artists or cultivators, none of them could surpass New Era. As a result, New Era led the foreign races to attack the city, and many people from the central earth died. Of course, this also included cultivators and warriors. This foreign race was very powerful. There were no cultivators among them, and they were all warriors. However, all of them were powerful and did not lose to cultivators. After countless battles, the dynasties of the central earth were forced to retreat. Everyone knew that if New Era did not die, the imperial dynasty of the Central Earth would definitely be overthrown. In the Central Earth, cultivators had a higher status than warriors, and many warriors were secretly dissatisfied with cultivators. At this time, some warriors were even in cahoots with the foreign races, cooperating with each other from the inside. The Central Earth imperial dynasty was even more so, retreating step by step, and was in danger. In the end, the emperor gathered all the heroes of the world to discuss a grand plan, while New Era actually single-handedly rushed to the capital from 1,000 miles outside the pass. Just like that, he swaggered into the imperial city. Countless experts surrounded New Era, but hesitated. New Era had already conspired with some warriors, killing until the sky turned dark and the ground turned black, blood flowing like rivers. The imperial city was practically a sea of corpses, wailing like ghosts and howling like wolves. But in the end, New Era still managed to hold on. He faced off against the heroes of the world, but he did not completely fall into a disadvantageous position. At this moment, New Era vowed that there were already 1 million soldiers outside the pass, and that they would attack the pass in half a day. At that time, the army would head south, and the Central Earth imperial dynasty would definitely be destroyed. The emperor was naturally terrified, but no one was a match for New Era, causing him to be helpless. But at this time, New Era made a suggestion. As long as the emperor expelled the cultivators, his subordinates' iron hooves would stop moving south, and this war would end. Although the Middle-earth Empire had lasted for hundreds of years, the emperor was already incomparably muddle-headed. After hearing this, in order to protect the throne, he actually agreed immediately and secretly discussed with New Era how to expel the cultivators. In the end, New Era obtained a method from somewhere and secretly used it with the emperor. Immediately, the sky changed color and many vortexes appeared in the sky. One by one, the cultivators were sucked into the sky by the vortexes. No cultivator was spared. However, the other ordinary people and martial artists were unscathed. This terrifying scene lasted for 3 days and 3 nights before disappearing, and there was not a single cultivator left in the world. According to New Era's introduction, these cultivators did not die, but went to some sky beyond heaven, and from then on, they would never be able to come to this world. This world was the world of martial artists. New Era returned with a loud laugh, but he did not keep his promise. As soon as he returned to the pass, he led 1 million mighty soldiers to break through the pass and lead them south. Although he was a martial emperor, he was still extremely fearful of all the cultivators in the world. This was because only cultivators could resist him, and the cultivators of the Middle Earth were too weak in comparison. Without any resistance, New Era seemed to have the help of a god as he charged to the capital like lightning. The resistance of the martial artists in the world was like a small wave that was completely drowned out by this shocking wave. The emperor was disheartened and ashamed to face the common people and cultivators of the world. Thus, he hanged himself on Coal Mountain to thank the world. After the foreign race invaded the Middle Earth, they unscrupulously carried out the enslavement policy. They even tampered with history and completely erased everything about cultivators. As a result, hundreds of years later, ordinary people simply did not know that there was such a group of people in the divine continent. Tang Zheng's heart was surging with emotions when he heard this. The magnificent history scroll seemed to be slowly unfolding in front of him, and the schemes and machinations within it made him shudder. So this was how the cultivators disappeared, brought to some sky beyond heaven by an outsider's tricks. He was no stranger to this sky beyond heaven. Back then, didn't the demon clan summon the demon god from the sky beyond heaven? The demon clan would definitely be unwilling and want to come back for revenge. Most of the cultivators would probably be unwilling and want to come back for revenge. After all, being expelled in such a way was a great humiliation. Shameless. Tian Chanzi's face flushed red as he roared angrily. Tang Zheng was shocked, and immediately asked, Tian Chanzi, what are you doing? This New Era is too shameless, to actually use such a despicable method. Tian Chanzi said. The golden dragon snorted in disdain, and said, humans are shameless to begin with. Tang Zheng glared at it, and the golden dragon unwillingly shut its mouth, as if it was a little afraid of Tang Zheng, the Skywalker. That's not right. It's not like there weren't any large success realm cultivators 1,000 years ago. Why was New Era able to go straight in and no one could stop him? Tian Chanzi raised his eyebrows as he discovered something strange. The golden dragon looked at him in surprise and said, "You actually know about things that happened 1,000 years ago. Who exactly are you?" He was a cultivator from 1,000 years ago. It was only by chance that he was reborn. Tang Zheng explained. The golden dragon nodded in realization. "You're really lucky to have escaped that calamity. Otherwise, you would have definitely gone to the sky beyond heaven as well. As for your question, the reason is very simple. 500 years ago, a great battle broke out between the righteous path and the demon clan in the cultivation world. The experts on both sides were all killed and injured, so for more than 200 years, the cultivators did not recover their vitality at all, which gave New Era the opportunity to take advantage of them." A great battle between the righteous path and the demon clan. Tian Chanzi turned pale with fright, and muttered to himself, "Did this battle still start in the end?" There was usually friction between the righteous path and the demon clan, but who would have thought that in the end, there would still be a great battle? Tian Chanzi clenched his teeth, filled with regret. If there wasn't that great battle, the cultivators would have been able to continue to stay in this world. What's so good about staying here? The spirit energy is getting thinner and thinner, and the cultivation speed is getting slower and slower. The golden dragon said disdainfully. Tian Chanzi coldly snorted, and said, "What do you know? The Middle Earth is a place for cultivators. How can it be occupied by outsiders? Now that the outsiders have been driven away, aren't the people of the Middle Earth sitting on their own land?" The golden dragon asked. Tang Zheng and Tian Chanzi were both speechless. That's right, although the outsiders had occupied the Middle Earth for more than 200 years, they were still driven away in the end. What about that New Era? The life of a martial artist is limited, so of course he died. Moreover, he had been fighting with so many cultivators, so he had already suffered internal injuries, but he had been holding on, which was why he came up with this trick. Otherwise, if the cultivators were not eliminated, he would not have been able to hold on for long, let alone lead his troops into the pass and occupy the Middle Earth. Dead, that's too easy for him. If he didn't die, I would definitely tear him into pieces. Tian Chanzi gritted his teeth and said hatefully. Since you said that cultivators were all sucked into the sky beyond, then why are there still demonic beasts in this world? Furthermore, you weren't sucked into the sky beyond either, were you? Of course the demonic beasts were also sucked into the sky beyond, but this demonic beasts must have evolved from the nourishment of the spirit chi of heaven and earth. As for me, I am from the dragon race. How can other demonic beasts compare to me? My dragon race doesn't live in this Middle Earth, so how could New Era's scheme suck the dragon race into the sky beyond? Furthermore, I have this inescapable snare formation above my head. Even if I am sucked away like that whirlpool, I can't do anything about it. The golden dragon explained. Tang Zheng was deep in thought. The witch clan in the 10,000 huge mountains and the demonic beasts in the prehistoric heavenly tomb were definitely protected by the restrictions in the 10,000 huge mountains, which was why they were able to escape this calamity. Brat, we must let the cultivators return to this world. Tian Chanzi suddenly raised his head, and stared at Tang Zheng with a burning gaze. Tang Zheng's head moved. Didn't this mean that Tian Chanzi's goal was the same as the demon clans? Didn't the demon clan also vow to return to this world? Tang Zheng did not have the time to tell him about the demon clan, so he quickly told him about what happened during the military training. Tian Chanzi was slightly startled, and said, "The demon clan is truly cunning, they actually left behind a backup plan." Then, according to what you mean, a demon god has already descended? Tang Zheng nodded his head. This demon god was killed by me using the heaven-shocking bow, his soul escaped, he must still be in this world. Tian Chanzi's gaze became complicated, and said thoughtfully, "Then I really want to meet him, since he came back from the sky beyond, he must be clear about the situation there, and what happened to the cultivators who were sucked in, I must also find out." But his whereabouts must be very hidden, it's not easy to find. Even if it's not easy to find, I still have to find him. Even if I have to dig 3 feet into the ground, I still have to find him. Tian Chanzi clenched his teeth and said fiercely. The golden dragon said in surprise, it's only been 200 years, and the cultivators of the sky beyond heaven are about to return. I'm afraid New Era didn't think of this back then either. This time, the cultivators returned with hatred, which was equivalent to the wrath of the heavens. Then the people of this world would have to suffer. I'm afraid it would be another sea of corpses. Humans are so stupid, killing each other, one day they will be extinct. Tang Zheng felt a chill run down his spine. What the golden dragon said was probably not a delusion. Back then, when the cultivators were tricked like this, they must have harbored hatred in their hearts. This time, no matter if it was the righteous path or the demon clan, they would not let this matter rest. The warriors of this world would not be able to live peacefully. After all, New Era was a warrior, and the cultivators might even vent their anger on the current warriors. Furthermore, the martial sect was still sparing no effort to chase after the cultivators, which made him even more of a thorn in the eyes of the cultivators. If the cultivators returned and wantonly hunted the warriors, and according to the current situation, the development of the warriors in the past few hundred years was not very good. How could they resist the revenge of the cultivators? Wouldn't the world be in chaos? You're tuning in to the Blissful Bookshelf YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.